The city of Ekurhuleni has placed its Deputy Metro Police Chief, Julius Mkhwanazi, on suspension effective today. Mkhwanazi has been suspended following links to alleged criminal mastermind Vusimuzi Matlala. Mkhwanazi has been implicated at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, with claims emerging that standing with Matlala Security Company. The city says Mkhwanazi's suspension was as a result of an internal probe into allegations of wrongdoing. Alfara Mushwana has more.
Last year, EWN reported on findings by police watchdog IPID, which recommended disciplinary action against EMPD Deputy Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. The investigation looked into allegations that Mkhwanazi unlawfully entered the EMPD into an agreement with a security company owned by Vusimuzi Matlala. The agreement allowed Matlala to be issued blue lights belonging to the city, some of which were allegedly installed on his private vehicles. 2 months ago, Brigadier Mkhwanazi went on special leave after KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi implicated him during proceedings at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The city has now decided to formally suspend him, citing the latest revelations of criminal collusion that have emerged at the commission. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, retired EMPD Deputy Commissioner Revo Spies says he filed for early retirement in January because the city of Ekurhuleni was on a clear path of destruction. Spies concluded his testimony before the Madlanga Commission this afternoon. During his time in the hot seat, he levelled serious allegations against suspended EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi, as well as former Ekurhuleni city manager Imogen Mashazi. Spies accuses the pair of colluding in corrupting EMPD by allowing Mkhwanazi to operate with impunity within the Metro Police Department. A 2023 report by IPID found that Mkhwanazi should face disciplinary action. Spies explains why he decided to leave EMPD.
All of this criminality around me is directly against my DNA of being a policeman, and I cannot cope with nothing being done in the city, and it's clear the city is on a path of destruction, and I don't want to be part of this at all anymore.
To Parliament now, where National Director of Public Prosecution Shamila Batoyi says the country is not winning the fight against organised crime. Batoyi says better intelligence is needed to handle high-profile criminal cases. She has been giving testimony before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption. The corruption allegations stem from a press conference earlier this year by KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who said the justice system has been infiltrated by criminals. Batoyi, who retires in January, says her appointment was mainly to turn around and rebuild the NPA. She says work still needs to be done to deal with organised crime.
The only way of getting to organised criminals is to ensure that we have solid, good intelligence. And the other way is you have to follow the money. We have to make sure that we have capabilities, capacities in government to be able to do effective, quick financial investigations.
We'll shift our focus to this now. Stats SA says the official unemployment rate decreased in 7 provinces between the second and the third quarters of the year. This after the overall unemployment rate also dipped to 31.9% in the 3 months through September, coming down from 33.2%. Stats SA released the latest data today. The largest decrease was recorded in Limpopo, while the only increase was recorded in the Eastern Cape, with unemployment rate far surpasses the national average. Statistician General at Stats SA, Rizenga Malulega.
It is because the rural provinces are far away from urban centers where people would be ready to take up employment. That is why when we look at provinces like Gauteng, the gap between the red color and the gray color is narrower. So is the Western Cape. Whereas when we look at provinces like your Northwest, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, we can see that the gap is relatively wider.
And Sri Lanka, the Maldives and Nepal have offered condolences to India following a deadly blast. 8 people were killed last night after a car exploded near the Red Fort landmark in Delhi. Delhi's police commissioner says the blast happened when a slow-moving vehicle stopped at a red light before it exploded. There is no official confirmation yet on what caused the blast, while India's main opposition Congress party has urged government to clarify whether this was an attack or something else. Gold is trading at $4,143.29 an ounce. The rand is at 17.20 to the dollar, 22.54 to the pound, 19.84 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.07 a barrel.
On the N3 North, there's a crash in the right lane after Van Buren Road, so you can expect delays, and a crash on the R21 North after the ramp to Benoni and on the M1 South at Smith Street.
In your sport, Hugo Bruch warns his Bafana players that the friendly against Zambia will not be a little holiday. Cristiano Ronaldo confirms that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will definitely be his last. And the Springboks shift focus to Italy as Luis Diaga waits to hear his fate following his red card.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the city of Ekurhuleni has placed its Deputy Metro Police Chief, Julius Mkhwanazi, on suspension effective today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to Afternoon Drive with me, Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Tuesday, the 11th of November, and it is 8 minutes past 3 right here on 7:02. Thanks for choosing us. I'm with you between 3 and 6 p.m. today. Quite the show that we have prepared for you. We're driving you home this afternoon. I think we should start with this. I'm looking at the TV screens and flashing on the screens, you may have heard in EWN as well, EMPD's Julius Mkhwanazi has been suspended. His name has popped up quite a bit in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. He's accused of being the man behind Vusmo Zikat Batlala having blue lights installed on his cars or in his vehicles, despite him not being a law enforcement official. We also heard that he's also helped Matlala have red lights on his car as well. Well, he's been suspended now following the allegations made against him at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. We're hoping to speak to Alfara Mushwana on that story because he's been following that story for months, and he's even had an interview with Mkhwanazi before Mkhwanazi popped up, or his name popped up recently in that press briefing by General Ndlandla Mkhwanazi. So that's an important story to watch this afternoon. But more coming on Afternoon Drive. We're going to be touching on unemployment numbers. It's good news for South Africa. The unemployment rate dropping slightly by just over a percentage point. And while it seems marginal, it is very, very welcome. So we're going to be speaking about why we've seen that slight decline in the unemployment rate. 17.1 million South Africans are now employed, and we're going to be trying to crunch through those numbers. It seems there's also a change in how the unemployment rate is determined and, the definitions around unemployment. So we have an expert who's going to be coming to talk us through that. That's Tony Healy, who's a labor consultant. And then we're going to go to this report. That's in the second hour of the show. It's a report around drugs, extortion, and cybercrime. And I hate to be the person that douses your joy because I just spoke about unemployment improving. But it seems on the crime front, as South Africa, we are not doing so well. There's the latest report that has been released showing some alarming crime numbers. It's a report by the Transnational Organized Crime, and they say that South Africa is ranked 7th in an international criminality index, and the crimes of drugs, extortion, and cybercrime are particularly to be concerned about. So we're going to be touching on that as well. We'll speak to the authors of that report. In the final hour of the show, we touch base with the team at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And Shamala Batoyi, NPA head, is accounting in Parliament. She is before the ad hoc committee into the South African Police Service, and she's going to be testifying on the allegations that were made by General Ndlandla Mkhwanazi that prosecutors are among those corrupt in the criminal justice system. So That's the show for now. We've got that and more coming this afternoon. So I would stay tuned if I were you. On the team this afternoon, taking your calls is Jonathan Fairburn and Rafua. They are there taking the calls of producers this afternoon. We also have Karabo Malapile, who's in studio with me. She's the lady, our technical lady this afternoon. Charlene Leroux, keeping an eye on the roads. And Tolagale Mganga is our sports lady right here on 702 Drive. And of course, Mbali Lamini giving us regular news updates this afternoon. If you want to weigh in on the conversation, the number to dial is 011 883 0702. Alternatively, if you'd rather send a WhatsApp, it's 072 702 1702. I'm Khomozo Modise, and that's Afternoon Drive on 702.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So, of course, those unemployment numbers have given me a bit of joy and a bit of hope. The fact that the needle is moving, no matter how little or how marginal it may seem, there is some sort of movement. And of course, we'll get to breaking down those numbers. But whenever you speak about unemployment issues, you often hear people asking or people citing just how tough it is looking for a job, the challenges that come with being unemployed. I've seen people on social media saying it's just in the waking up, just getting up every day to start the process of looking for a job. That just becomes such a tedious exercise. And I've been thinking, really, what's the hardest part about looking for a job? I can imagine there are many, many difficult parts. Is it the waking up every day knowing that you may have to apply 50 times and only get one response if you're lucky? Is it the going through the job descriptions, going through the platforms, and you find these jobs that you think are perfect? They have me written all over it, only to be rejected at the end. Jonathan, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso.
What's the hardest part about finding a job, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it would be the lack of response. If you're sending out your CVs and applying, and then you don't get that response, and then possibly going for those interviews as well, and then, not hearing back, because I think that can break your confidence, because you think, okay, well, what was it about me? What didn't they like? What didn't I match in terms of the criteria? So that can be quite a difficult thing. And then I suppose also just reading some of the job application, the job advertisements.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the way in which they describe the roles, the responsibilities, and then you look at that and you think, this is like, and you probably think you can do the job, but the way in which they've written the job advertisement makes you think, are you qualified enough for this specific role, even though you may have that degree that is required, the years of experience, et cetera, et cetera. So it always baffles me sometimes who writes these advertisements for companies for a specific role.
Yeah.
So I think that can be an intimidating thing as well, which could possibly put you off from applying.
Yes,
maybe, But I think it's heck of a tough, eh?
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's a confidence thing, because maybe once you apply and they don't call you, or you go for the interview and they don't call you, you're like, okay, maybe they found someone else. But after you've done it 10, 15 times, which is the reality of many South Africans, people applying, multiple times in a day, I can imagine the knock on your confidence,
Yeah.
And just realizing that this might take much longer than you thought it would. Sometimes there was a point where people felt they could look for 3 months or 6 months. You plan, you have a stash of a salary put away for 3,
your
6 months.
emergency fund.
Right?
Yeah.
And you think, okay, this can last me for the next 6 months or so while I look for a job. But as you approach month number 5 and you're struggling to find a job and nothing is popping up, I can imagine the panic that kicks in.
Yeah. I mean, even sometimes you'll look on LinkedIn and there's a job advertisement that comes up, and then you would click it, and then it would say 500 have already applied. Now how are you going to stand out from 500 people when you submit your CV, and these people have already applied?
And that's only on LinkedIn.
Yes.
That's only the ones on LinkedIn.
That's only on the LinkedIn post, So, I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to apply for some time.
Yeah.
But I think it must be a heck of a difficult. I mean, even if you are sitting comfortably in a job and you're thinking, I'm not, maybe there's something else out here. Yeah, to get back into that search, that job market hunting for a job is really, really tough.
Yeah, it's intimidating, and I'm certain that many people have had and are experiencing that currently. I think you and I are very blessed to be sitting here right now and have jobs. But the reality is, it could be any of us.
Yeah.
It could have been you, could have been me, and it could still be you. It could still be me. But I want to know, what is the toughest part about looking for a job? What's the greatest challenge in job hunting? Is it just the opening your eyes and bringing yourself to that laptop to sit down and to actually put the time aside to apply? I come from a time, I don't know if you remember this, Karabo, but there was a time where we'd go to internet cafes. In fact, after I finished my matric and I was looking for work, I would go to an internet cafe to apply for learnerships, and I'd apply for varsity, and I'd apply at an internet cafe. And it's really the waking up to go there to put in the application that must be so strenuous. I'm sure there are many people who are still applying. So I want to hear from you. The number to dial is 011 883 0702 or 072 702 1702. All right, let's take a look at the roads. Charlene Leroux is standing by. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Khumotso. Well, on the N3 North, there's still that crash. It's in the right lane just after Van Buren Road. Officials are busy clearing that. On the M1 South at Smith Street, there's a crash, and that's backing up traffic all the way from Empire Road. And if you are on the R21 North, just after the ramp to Benoni, there's a crash and the right lane still closed. And a stationary vehicle, that's on the N12 East. It's after Atlas Road. And a number of traffic lights out this afternoon in four ways at Witkoppen and Cedar, and Witkoppen and Newmarket in Randburg, and in Edenvale at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeeck Road, as well as Modderfontein and the N3. Then in Centurion, those traffic lights still out today at the N12 and John Avenue, as well as the N1 and Old Joburg Road, and in Pretoria CBD at Bosman and Versaghi. More Eyewitness News traffic at 3:30.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
All right, it's 18 minutes past 3. Let's take a look at this story. So it's that the South African unemployment numbers are out, and the picture does look rather hopeful. 1.3% decrease, or percentage point decrease, I should say, in the third quarter of the year. That moves the unemployment rate from 31.9% to 33, or rather, to 31.9% from 33.2%. Yes. So that means in the previous quarter, which was the second quarter of the year, we were sitting at 33.2%. And while it does seem marginal, I'm sure that it is very, very welcome and it's worth noting. But someone to help us make sense of these numbers is Labour Consultant at Icon Labour Consultants, and that's Tony Healy, who joins us now. Tony, good afternoon and welcome to Afternoon Drive.
Good afternoon. Good to be with you.
I mean, in the greater scheme of things, Tony, it's a move from 33.2% to 31.9%. Seems marginal, but I'm sure it's significant.
Look, it'll be significant for those employees, certainly, who've managed to acquire employment in that period. But if you look overall, it really is still a national crisis. I think it's not overstating that if we're in the 31-32% range, that's also a conservative statistic. If you were to include all job seekers who've given up job hunting, it would be closer to 40%, and with the youth unemployment being even higher than that. So some cause for encouragement, but we're a long, long way from addressing the scourge of unemployment.
I've noted that there have also been changes in the definitions of unemployment now. So how the data is put together has also changed. Or what are those differences, and how does this affect the final number?
Well, essentially, there have always been various, as you've rightly said, there are various definitions of what does and does not constitute unemployment. And do you, for example, include in that unemployment number job seekers who have, or those who are unemployed, who have simply given up hope and stopped looking for jobs? But to be honest, regardless of which definition you use, we still have, in global terms, the highest unemployment rate in the world, and that of course leads to all kinds of social injustice issues, financial, economic challenges, and the like. So the definition, whilst it may change over time, still boils down to the fact that we have an extremely high unemployment rate and have had for quite some time.
And oftentimes we speak about an unemployment crisis with the numbers that we're experiencing. This isn't a big move, really, that we've noted here today. But what's it going to take to move us from crisis mode? What's it going to take before we stop using the term South Africa as an unemployment crisis?
Yeah, look, I think we need a very significant reduction in our unemployment rate. I mean, if you look back, in fairness to government, they inherited in 1994 an already fairly high unemployment rate of nearly 20%. And the government of national unity at that time managed to keep it at that level. But since then, it's almost doubled. And to answer your question, there really is only one solution. We need to create jobs. And how do we create jobs? We need an economy that's going to grow. And whilst government may not create jobs in and of itself, it certainly provides a platform and an environment for the private sector to be able to do business and grow. So the short answer to your question is economic growth creates employment, and maybe also focus on the statutory, the legal framework in which business is done, because many would argue that we have a statutory regulation structure which dictates how business is conducted, and that is very restrictive and limiting, and in itself also contributes to unemployment. And maybe finally, direct foreign investment. We need to be a destination. We're competing with other emerging markets, and we need to ensure that we are an appealing place for foreign investment. And looking at the security issues, the power issues which we're starting to overcome, the water issues we're struggling with, the crime, etc. Many potential foreign investors look at us and say, you know what, there's just too much uncertainty, there's too much risk. There are many other countries where there's less risk and less uncertainty that we could rather invest our money, and then we continue to experience the unemployment fallout of those decisions.
Yeah. I've been spotting the use of the term not economically active. I believe that's in the expanded definition. What does that actually mean?
That means, so for example, if I'm unemployed and I've been job hunting, and I've been unsuccessful over time, and I give up hope, I then stop looking for a job. I am unemployed. I'm available to be employed, but I've just become so disheartened by the job-seeking process and all the rejection, I've given up even trying, because I believe I have no hope of becoming employed because I've had so many rejections. So I'm of an economically active age, let's say from 16, 17 upwards to 60 odd, however long one would work. But I'm just so discouraged that I stop looking for a job, even though I am available and physically able to do the work. And that's quite a large sum. I mean, that would take this current number of 31% closer to the region of about 40%, which tells us that contrary to us thinking it's just over 3 in 10 South Africans unemployed, it's in actual fact closer to 4 in 10 South Africans being unemployed.
Yeah, thank you so much, because I was wondering whether that term is similar to what we used to call discouraged job seekers. So that's exactly,
no, it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you're actually on the right track. That's exactly, so it's discouraged. They're discouraged by virtue of the fact that they've been applying for jobs week in, week out, month in, month out, and have been unsuccessful. Therefore, they're discouraged. And therefore, that's the definitions are the same.
All right.
You're quite right.
All right, Tony Healy, thank you so much for Your time. Tony is a labor consultant at Icon Labor Consultants, helping us make sense of the latest unemployment numbers. I am choosing to be hopeful about them. I'm also choosing to be very positive about these numbers because we need some good news. The unemployment rate moving from 33.2% in the second quarter of this year to 31.9%. That's a 1.3 percentage point shift. And I think it's great. I'm hoping that in the next quarter, we'll also see a further shift, particularly because we've got events happening all the time. In the fourth quarter, we see the unemployment numbers looking a little better because of festive season work. But we also have the G20 summit coming next week, and I hope that we'll see more opportunities in that space.
For more about 702,
Go to primemediaplus.com.
All right, 26 minutes past 3 right here on Afternoon Drive. Let's shift our focus to this story now. It's a lovely story that was identified and spotted by the team. 3,000 trees to be planted along Winnie Mandela Drive in Bryanston, or in the Fourways area. And it's absolutely beautiful because it's a project that's been done by Johannesburg City Parks. Joining me for that conversation is Jenny Moodley, spokesperson for City Parks. Jenny, thank you so much for your time. Maybe let's just start with where the initiative emanated from. I mean, 3,000 trees is quite impressive.
Quite right. Thank you again for hosting Joburg City Parks. Absolutely. You know, we've been trying to accelerate our tree planting program. And of course, this is all part of the presidential campaign to make sure that we have 1 million trees in the ground across the country. So for us, it's about looking at a regional program. 3,000 trees were planted this morning between 10 and 11, together with the Fourways residents, the Fourways community. They call themselves the Fourways Improvement District. So yes, we had a number of people in place, including our staff, and these 3,000 trees were planted within that hour.
That's 3,000 trees in a single day. That sounds like a lot, but I don't remember the last time I planted a tree. It's nothing I'm proud of, Jenny. I think the last time might have been in primary school. But what goes into a project like this to plant 1 million trees around the country?
Yes, it's a mammoth task. And I think firstly, you need to start with the education, which is the foundation of making sure that trees are planted properly, that they're taken care of, that there's a high survival rate. So that's was a very important part of our environmental education programs. The second was, of course, to source these trees. And then the third, which is a mammoth task in itself, is the planning, making sure that these holes are pre-dug, that there's compost readily available, what the watering plans are, making sure that way leaves, a very important part of that process is the way leaves, and to make sure that the Joburg Roads Agency approves the tree planting program. And then, you know, looking at the species and so on, that's part of the boardroom work that gets done weeks prior to the planting. So we planted 6,000 trees in 2010 along Chrisani Barra, and if anyone's driving past, you'll see this wonderful canopy developing all the way into the south. Similarly, we anticipate in the next few years, we'll see this tree-lined street stretching all the way from Fourways into Diepsloot, and that's exactly what we're aiming for, is to make sure that the quality of life, the quality of the environment is enhanced, and that we do this together with residents in the city.
Jenny Moodley, thank you so much for your time. She's a spokesperson for Joburg City Parks. They're talking us through the project to plant 3,000 trees alongside Winnie Mandela Drive and 1 million trees in the country. It really does sound like a mammoth task, but it's very, very impressive. And I think that maybe I should consider getting involved, not just on Arbor Week, but just generally. It's something lovely to be a part of. It's time for Eyewitness News headlines with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good afternoon. The two Ndimande brothers, with alleged links to the murder of rapper Keenan Forbes and businessman Tibelo Motswane, have officially been charged. This after they were extradited from Eswatini, landing at the King Shaka International Airport this morning. They face 20 criminal charges, including murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, as well as firearm-related charges. Some of the charges relate to other cases, including the alleged murder of a taxi boss in Amanzimtoti in the south of Durban. They will be appearing in the Durban Magistrates Court this afternoon. Ntantla Mabaso reports.
It took over an hour for Interpol authorities to hand over the accused to the South African police at the King Shaka International Airport this morning. Once in police custody, the suspects were in an armored vehicle with extra security by various police units. A police helicopter hovered over the convoy as it made its way to the Durban Central Police Station, where the brothers were officially charged. Police spokesperson Brigadier Adlenda Mate says the operation was a major one.
It is a significant moment and well done to the teams that have worked. We thank the Office of the DPP in KZN for all that they've done for us, the NPA, great collaborative work, great partnership.
She adds Eswatini authorities also played a huge role.
We thank the authorities in Eswatini for the role that they've played when we alerted them that the suspects are in Eswatini. They did not hesitate.
The suspects will make their first court appearance in the Durban Magistrates Court today. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Some students at Wits University have been staging a demonstration on campus today against gender-based violence. The protest comes after a student at the institution reported an incident of rape. The alleged perpetrator has been identified as a newly elected Student Representative Council member. Ntokozo Khumalo has more.
Protests broke out on the Wits campus last night after news spread about the incident. Wits University management says the matter was reported to its gender equity office by a fellow student and an investigation was immediately initiated. It has also confirmed that the accused has been suspended and is barred from accessing any of its facilities pending an investigation. Meanwhile, the SRC says it will stand in solidarity with all gender-based violence victims. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The Cape Crime Crisis Coalition has called for action after an incident of alleged police brutality which led to the death of an Elsies River resident. The coalition has lodged a complaint with the South African Human Rights Commission and the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. Coalition member Imran Mukadam says the SAPS's anti-gang unit interrogated 8 suspects after responding to a shooting in Elsies River last week. Mukadam says 39-year-old Cheslin Christians died the next day after allegedly being beaten by the AGU officers during the interrogation.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms any policing that violates the constitutional rights of citizens. The rights to life, dignity and freedom from torture are foundational to our democracy.
The coalition is calling for a full-on probe into the incident.
We implore them to act with utmost speed and rigor to uncover the full truth, identify all officers involved and ensure they are held accountable to the full extent of the law.
The Human Rights Commission says it will respond to the matter in due course. And the Pakistani Taliban militant group has claimed responsibility for a suicide bomb blast which killed at least 12 people in the capital Islamabad today. In a statement, the group says judges, lawyers and officials who carried out rulings under Pakistan's UN Islamic laws were targeted. As a result of the bombing, around 20 wounded people have been taken to nearby medical facilities. The militant group also threatened to carry out more attacks until Islamic law is implemented in the Muslim-majority country. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with afternoon showers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 24 degrees.
There's a stationary vehicle on the N12 East after Atlas Road and on the R24 N12 West on the ramp to the N3 North. And on the N1 South, there's a stationary vehicle at the ramp from Garsfontein.
The top story in EWN, the two Ndimande brothers with alleged links to the murder of rapper Keenan Forbes and businessman Tibelo Motswane have officially been charged.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I've been asking all morning listeners' favorite books that they remember reading from school, perhaps the first book they read or whatever they're currently reading. What is yours, Terence?
I think for me it would have to be Animal Farm. I think I learned quite a lot from that book, just about life itself and just about leadership and how, life can really just go against certain terms.
If you have not seen a play adaptation of Animal Farm, the next time they produce it, please go and see it because it is absolutely fascinating. Terence Kala is the acting director for communications at Department of Basic Education.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Classics on Turf is back, where gold and classical music meet in one unforgettable Johannesburg night. Join 702 at Killarney Country Club on Friday the 14th of October as Kutlwano Masote leads a full orchestra bursting with energy, colour and rhythm. Sharing the stage, Judith Sipuma brings her velvet voice and unmatched charm to a proudly South African musical celebration. Your ticket includes delicious canopies and welcome drinks, and with a rain-proof setup, the show goes on no matter what the weather. Book now on quicket.co.za. Classics on Turf is proudly made possible by Telkom and brought to you in partnership with 702.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Experience a unique musical journey as the Mzansi National Philharmonic Orchestra presents its national tour, featuring legendary conductor Marin Alsop and homegrown global sensation Abel Selauchwe. The program includes Selauchwe's Four Spirits Cello Concerto, paired with Rachmaninoff's Romantic Symphony No. 2. Concerts take place at the Linda Auditorium on Wednesday the 10th and Thursday the 11th of December. Book your tickets now at Quicket.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Shamil Jusub is the CEO at the Vodacom Group. Shamil, the Makate case, you're not going to tell me how much, are you?
No.
Well, I'm glad we got that out the way.
Effectively, it's in the numbers, it's recorded, it's there. Of course, you can see lots of speculation on what the number is, but, I think from our side, we're just happy to have closed the issue and to move on. And I think so are investors.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, named Best Cash Management Services in Africa at the 2025 EMEA Finance Treasury Services Awards.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Khomoto. I 702 listeners. Ash Khomoto, you know what? Bring such memories. Remember job hunting. Every Wednesday, I had to go and find a Star newspaper. And sometimes you don't even have the money to buy the newspaper. And then we do get it, make that call. Sorry, the post has been filled. Crashes. Yeah, Muzi, it's not.
Tree planting, it's a good idea, but 3,000 trees in a day. Oh, I fear this G20 summit. I wonder who got the tender. Oh.
Yay, Mama. You're opening another can of worms there. Yeah, 3,000 trees, hey? And it's beautiful, it's good. But yes, like many things that are happening in the city currently, it's clearly suspiciously close to the G20 summit. Very, very close to the G20 summit. Have you seen how Sandton looks recently? I mean, there's been trucks now in the night, in the early mornings. So sometimes I'm here very early in the morning at around 5:30 in the morning to do some other work. And the other day, I just spotted a truck that was doing some sweeping. I don't know if it was sweeping or cleaning the trees, the streets. It's something that I've never seen before. And I said, woo, Raitaba G20 Summit. Wow. But yes, we congratulate them for the trees that they are planting there. And I hope they do hit the 1 million mark around the country. And then on the job hunters front, yes, it is. I remember that. I remember my brothers going through the newspapers. I even remember the time when people used to say baya maketa, where they would go out to hand out their CVs and they'd knock from door to door, they'd go into restaurants. Do people still do that? Do people still go from establishment to establishment? I know that now you'll often see on the walls or gates of companies that say no jobs. I suppose those are popular spots for people to knock and say, please give me a job. But yes, job seeking has evolved quite a bit. Of course, we've been speaking about what are some of the hardest parts of looking for employment, and what are some of those that you remember from the time that you've been seeking and looking for a job? And if you're looking for a job currently, what are your challenges? Sometimes it's something as little as just getting up, getting yourself out of bed to face another day, to go look for a job, knowing that you're more likely, in fact, to come home without a job. All right, 1541 on 702 Drive.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. And Hugo Bruce has warned his Bafana players against complacency as they take on Zambia in a friendly on Saturday. The game offers the coach one last chance to assess his players ahead of his AFCON 2025 squad announcement in the first week of December.
The most important thing for Saturday is that you play a good game and that we play on our level. A team who has a good mentality, who want to win the game, who are going for every ball, for every meter. I don't think that you take a friendly game to approve something. Not at this moment. This is a game to confirm again how good we are.
Cristiano Ronaldo has confirmed that next year's FIFA World Cup will be his last international competition, having said last week he'll retire from football soon. The 40-year-old forward has scored more than 950 club and international goals and believes he has 1 or 2 more years left to play before calling time on his career. Portugal have yet to qualify for the 2026 tournament, while last month Ronaldo became the top goal scorer in World Cup qualifying history when he netted a brace against Hungary to reach 41 goals. At the same time, Lamine Yamal has been released from the Spain squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers. That's having undergone a radio frequency procedure to treat his pubic discomfort without informing the Spanish Football Federation. The 18-year-old underwent the procedure on Monday, which was the day he was supposed to report for camp, and recovery takes between 7 and 10 days. Switching over to rugby, where the Springbok team for this weekend's outgoing test against Italy will be announced on Thursday. That's due to Louis Diache facing a disciplinary hearing today for his red card against France for foul play. Marco van Staden says the double world champions are weary of an Italian side who claimed a surprise win over the Wallabies last time out.
They put Australia a lot under pressure at the breakdown, and we could have seen it when they played us the 2 tests at home. That's a massive focus of them, and I think they got a lot of reward out of that of the weekend. So now we're expecting a hard battle at the breakdown.
And Ansie Bear has announced that she's expecting her first child and will take an extended break from professional tennis. The world number 79 is expecting a baby boy in April, while the news comes a week after she opened up about her struggles with depression amid a demanding WTA tour schedule. Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Charlene Leroux standing by with the traffic. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, thanks so much. On the N3 South, there's a crash before Main Reef Road. That's backing up traffic to Kloof Road, and there's congestion on The N1 South, that's at the Winnie Mandela off-ramp, so expect delays. And in Fourways, those traffic lights still faulty at Witkoppen and Cedar and Witkoppen and Newmarket in Randburg. And if you're in Alexandra, traffic lights are out at London and the N3. In Pretoria CBD, traffic lights are also out at Bosman and Versaghi, and at the N14 and John Avenue in Centurion, as well as the N1 and Old Joburg Road. More Eyewitness News traffic at 4.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 Podcast.
On primemediaplus.com.
It's 2:45 right here on 702 Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us. We're speaking about looking for employment. I don't know if you saw those employment stats released a little earlier on this morning. With South Africa, that employment rate has gone down by 1.3 percentage point. And I mean, that's fantastic news. But the reality is that many South Africans are still without work. And every day they are frustrated and looking for employment. And there's many discouraging parts of looking for work. So Rufue is with me in the studio. I mean, what are some of the hardest parts of looking for employment? I heard someone earlier on speak, reminiscing about a time where you'd go through the newspapers. I don't think people do that anymore. But going through the newspapers, checking to find employment, calling, and the people saying, oh, sorry, that job has already been, or that vacancy has already been filled.
Good afternoon, Khomotso, and the rest of the 702 family. It is quite tough. I remember there was a point in my life when I was looking for a job, and I think I'd applied to over 150 companies.
Sure.
And I think maybe like 5 had gotten back to me to say, hi, regrettably, blah, 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 blah. You know that we regret to inform you. You know, at least they try, but it really plays a lot with your mind, where you think, is there something wrong with me? And I remember there was a time where I did get feedback, hey, really love your CV, but you are overqualified for this position.
I really hate that.
And I said to them, listen, I can be underqualified for you, you know? And they just never got back to me. So it does take a lot. And, you know, staying at home doing nothing also is not great, where you have, you know, societal pressures as well. Still not working. And they call you Mahlalela, as in the one that stays at home. Hey, Mahlalela. My neighbor used to call me that.
That's so mean.
Every time she saw me, Mahlalela.
Hi, Mahlalela.
Yeah.
Oof, no.
That was not nice.
That's not nice at all. Tolakele?
For me, it's quite a number of things. And I think I remember one example was they were like, oh, you're a good candidate, but there's just one thing we need to know. Do you have a car? First of all, I'm fresh out of university. Sure. Where would I get money to buy a car? They were like, well, we kind of need it for this job that you have. And you realize that even because people tell you, go to school, get an education. Once you have that paper, there's still so many other steps that are invisible and no one ever tells you about that. Kind of sees you miss out on getting that dream job, where now all of a sudden you're going, yeah, the dream is to do this, but let me just settle for this other thing. And that's how people probably spend 10, 15 years doing a job that they are overqualified for, but because it's the only one that said yes, you have to accept it and keep it moving.
And I wonder what that does to one's psyche, just mentally. You know, the constant rejection, constantly someone coming back to say to you, no, you know, we regret to inform you, no, we can't. I remember when I was looking for a job, when I was hunting many years ago, I would always say to myself at the end of the interview, God, you wouldn't put me in this place only to snatch it away from me. It used to make me feel so much better. I'd say, oh, you know, I know that if God provided this opportunity for me, then clearly He wouldn't want to frustrate me in this way. And then, of course, I wouldn't get it. And then I'd say, okay, maybe I'm learning. Maybe it's teaching me something. Maybe it's character building. Maybe I'm being prepared for something else. But, the mental roller coaster, I think, for me, is the biggest part and the hardest part when you're looking for employment. It is 48 minutes or 15:48 on 702 Drive.
702 Podcast.
On primemediaplus.com.
China Unlocked is brought to you by Standard Bank Business and Commercial. Unlock China for your business. Find partners, cut costs, and grow. All right, we're moving into a feature right here on 702 Drive. It's called China Unlocked with Standard Bank. And we're speaking about the opportunities and challenges for more trade between Africa and China. And joining me for that conversation this afternoon is Donald McKay. Donald Martin Davis, a former member of the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council. Donald, thank you so much for your time. You're looking at the economic relationship between China and Africa, South Africa quite closely. What does the landscape currently look like in terms of the relationship in trade between China and Africa? We know that there's always been concerns that it's not as transactional and as fair and equal as it should be. Good afternoon. Dr. Davies, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, good afternoon. I heard the name Donald. I wasn't sure that was me. It's Martin Davis.
Yes, Martin Davis. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Did you get the question?
I think I did, yes. So, look, the sort of general stereotypical trade between an African economy and a high manufacturing value-added economy in Asia, China, is that, we always hear we export raw commodities, materials, products and the like, and we import manufactured goods. So that's, South Africa accounts for roughly 20% of all China's exports to the African continent. So clearly we're a pivotal sort of player. The challenges for South Africa, which really is over the last 20 years has moved down the value chain in terms of its export profile to China. How do we sort of add value to our exports? For me, the answer does not lie on the product side, i.e. commodities or manufactured goods. I think that ship has long sailed. I think the opportunity lies in services. And I think that's something which we need to start to think about rather than in sectors which we've proven that we are unable to compete in. And that's largely the sort of deindustrialization story that has inflicted South Africa amongst other countries. It's called a premature deindustrialization, arguably, the last 20, 25 years.
But how does South Africa better position itself to benefit from this relationship?
Well, I think the real thing is tourism, low-hanging fruit. I mean, I looked at the figures literally about an hour ago, and I'm very sad, sort of depressed to read that only 41,000 Chinese tourists visited South Africa in 2024. Now, that may sound a lot to some, but in 2019, there were 93,000 Chinese tourists visiting South Africa, so it's less than half. So then my question was, well, what other comparable countries are there in terms of Chinese outbound tourists, bearing in mind there's roughly about 60 million, not talking visits, but tourists, physical individuals traveling out of China per year, and we're getting 41,000 or 61 million last year. So to sort of break it down, countries like Georgia has just issued, put in visa-free regime for Chinese tourists is getting 70-odd thousand plus. This is, other country, Uzbekistan receives more tourists than Chinese tourists than South Africa does. And I don't think many of our listeners today have vacationed in Uzbekistan. So really on the sort of, on the supply side, the numbers are there. The supply side is 60 million a year currently and growing from China. It really is how do we create the demand for Chinese tourists to come to South Africa? And I'm afraid it's, from air connectivity to marketing, to visa access, we know all about that, and above all, an environment which is not just perceived but real to be safe and secure for not just Chinese tourists but all tourists. And this is something which we've spoken many times on this radio station. One of the greatest opportunities has been in the last sort of 20 years or so has been outbound Chinese tourists. If you're having countries like Japan, Thailand, Korea, of course, in relative close proximity to China, is getting sort of upwards of 7 million a year. That's really going to move the needle on our trade, i.e. services trade, with China. I'm afraid nothing else will.
And what is it that's acting as a deterrent for Chinese tourists? I heard you mentioning crime. I suppose that's one of the major factors.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Riyadh today, and Patricia DeLille, I'm Minister of Tourism. I was listening to her speak about 2 hours ago on a live panel here at the Tourize conference in Riyadh. A very well organized event, and we need to see, I think, a lot more. We talk about policy. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, we don't need to do anything. We should be doing it and talking about it, after the fact. That's the point. So I think it really is. I mean, Africa generally provides a massive opportunity for all tourists. People, Europe is largely saturated in tourism. I see in the Middle East significant numbers of tourists increasingly coming to this part of the world. Think Saudi Arabia, I think the UAE, Dubai in particular, Abu Dhabi, and increasingly. And it's all about creating connectivity, safety, and a good value proposition for tourists. We have a relatively cheap destination, generally speaking. It's, of course, it's a long haul destination, but time zones may be disadvantageous from an Asian perspective, but people want those unique experiences. We have to package it, market it, and sell it effectively. And it's, people want to not just go to see. I think the micro here is what are the assets we're marketing. The macro is people want to go to a progressive country, a country that is seen as succeeding, a winning country. And I think that's the messaging we need to get across. But it's not about the talk; it's about the action. And I think that's what certainly we need in South Africa.
All right, let's leave it there. That's Dr. Martin Davies, a former member of the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council, helping us talk through China Unlocked, opportunities and challenges in that relationship between Africa and China. Unlock China's potential for your business right now. With zero tariffs on South African exports and a world-class supply chain, China is open for growth. For over a decade, Standard Bank has helped entrepreneurs connect with trusted partners, manage risk, and deliver results end to end. Don't miss out. Speak to Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking and unlock your next big opportunity today. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's 4 minutes to 4, and I want to shift our focus to this story now. It's a breaking news story this afternoon. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi suspended. That's been in the news today, and it's a big story because Mkhwanazi has been an interesting figure. He's been cited quite a bit, and allegations have been made against him at the Madlaga Commission of Inquiry. But there's been allegations against Mkhwanazi even prior to that explosive press briefing by Jenon Mkhwanazi on the 6th of July. Someone who's been following the story rather closely is Alfara Mushwana, who's been covering Mkhwanazi for a while, and he joins us now in studio. Alpha, is the suspension of Julius Mkhwanazi a surprise at all?
It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise to me at all, Khomutse. In fact, one of the questions I've been asking myself is that only now, because his name is being mentioned at the Madlaga Commission of Inquiry. But we've been reporting about Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, the deputy head of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, for more than a year now. So last year I did a story about the police watchdog IPID recommending that the city of Ekurhuleni needs to take action, disciplinary action against Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. This after an investigation found that he unlawfully handed out blue lights to companies linked to Cat Matlala. So it was blue lights to a security company linked to Matlala and a medical company, Medicare 24, linked to Matlala as well. They got red lights. And so the memorandum of agreement used that he signed with Matlala, the investigations from IPID found that those agreements were fraudulent. They were not real. They forged. They were fraudulent activities in those memorandums of understanding. And the city of Ekurhuleni sought advice from IPID, which then recommended that Mkhwanazi was wrong in handing out these blue lights to Matlala, and recommended that he needs to be taken to disciplinary hearing. That was in 2023. We reported about it in 2024. So it's been more than 2 years since we first knew about Mkhwanazi's alleged links to Vusmuzi Cat Matlala. So it's been more than 2 years. He's only been suspended now after the revelations at the Madlaga Commission of Inquiry. In fact, the city says that it cannot afford any of its members being linked or mentioned at the Madlaga Commission of Inquiry. So he's on suspension now, and he will soon be undergoing disciplinary hearing.
Why do you think this is only happening now, Alpha? Especially because there was that recommendation from IPID for him to go to DC. Why are we only seeing this now?
So a month ago, I had a sit-down interview with the mayor of Ekurhuleni, Dr. Kagaza, and I asked him about the IPID report, which was sent to the city of Ekurhuleni in 2023. The question that I asked was that they recommended that you deal with Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi for his alleged links to Cat Matlala, and more than 2 years later nothing has happened. And the answer that he gave me was that something happened, it slipped through the cracks. So there was some sort of additional fraudulent activities which hindered them from taking action against Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. So it seems he's very much protected in the municipality, because that report, according to the Metro, the mayor, wasn't recommended because someone inside somehow is protecting him. He couldn't mention who that person is. So all eyes are on the city now. He's been mentioned at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry every single day since, I think, last week, Wednesday. So it's all eyes on them. I think only because of the eyes that the public is giving them, they now decided to suspend Julius Mkhwanazi.
Sure. Alfred Mushwana, thank you so much for that story. He's the EWN reporter that's been following this. Having reported on Julius Mkhwanazi over a year ago, and only now are we seeing him being suspended. And it makes you wonder, if there was no Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, would he be suspended? If there was no explosive July 6th briefing, would we be seeing this? It's 4 o'clock.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TCs, earn rules and limits apply.
In case you missed it, 702 was in conversation with Santam about Santam's partnership with the G20 taking place in Johannesburg.
We are participating in the disaster risk and reduction working group, and through that we are able to share some learning, good practices, and what we've got from our flagship program, like partnerships and risk and resilience. So we hope that the learnings that we are able to share with the G20 countries were able to be utilized, most importantly, to emphasize the role of partnerships between government and the private sector.
Santam is a proud sponsor of the G20 Summit. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer, and the controlling company for its group of companies.
This is EWN.
Ekurhuleni says an internal probe led to Mkhwanazi's suspension, and the High Court prepares for Kat Matlala's trial to start in January. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The city of Ekurhuleni says its decision to suspend its Deputy Metro Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi was taken following an internal probe into allegations of wrongdoing. Mkhwanazi was suspended today following links to alleged criminal mastermind Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. Mkhwanazi has been implicated at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, with claims emerging that he aided Matlala's infiltration of the EMPD. He is accused of entering into fraudulent memorandums of understanding with Matlala's security company. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Last year, EWN reported on findings by police watchdog IPID, which recommended disciplinary action against EMPD Deputy Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. The investigation looked into allegations that Mkhwanazi unlawfully entered the EMPD into an agreement with a security company owned by Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. The agreement allowed Matlala to be issued blue lights belonging to the city, some of which were allegedly installed on his private vehicles. 2 months ago, Brigadier Mkhwanazi went on special leave after KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi implicated him during proceedings at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The city has now decided to formally suspend him, citing the latest revelations of criminal collusion that have emerged at the commission. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, the Johannesburg High Court is set to hear the trial of alleged underworld figure Vusimuzi Kat Matlala from January next year. Matlala appeared in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today alongside 4 co-accused, including his wife Tsakane. The 49-year-old is accused of 11 attempted murder counts, including a botched hit on his socialite ex-girlfriend Deboho Tobejane in October of 2023. Mongezi Gogo reports.
The charges against Vusimuzi Kat Matlala have been centralized and his matter is ready for trial in the Johannesburg High Court. Among the charges against him is the attempted hit on Sienki Mokobung, known as DJ Vetis. NPA spokesperson Pindim Jonondwane.
The charges are 11 counts of attempted murder, 3 of conspiracy to commit murder, 3 of possession of prohibited firearms. Then we also have counts of contravention of the Organized Crime Act, the Prevention of Organized Crime Act.
Among the attempted murder counts, Matlala and his co-accused are charged for a botched hit on taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni in August 2022. Matlala and his co-accused will appear in the Johannesburg court in January for pre-trial proceedings. Monkey Ziko Ko, Eyewitness News.
In Parliament now, National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Batoyi says institutions that are fighting for the rule of law are under serious threat. She says the allegations of corruption and interference in the criminal justice system made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi are an opportunity for the vulnerabilities in the system to be examined and addressed. Batoyi has been giving evidence before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating Mkhwanazi's allegations. Babalondenze has more.
Shamila Batoyi started her testimony by giving the committee a summary of her background before her appointment as the head of the National Prosecuting Authority 6 years ago. She also told the committee during her testimony that she received information from a confidential source about a concerted effort to undermine the work of the NPA.
A member from a particular agency and who gave me this information because the person thought it was important that as the head of the NPA, I should be aware of this attempts to undermine the work of the NPA.
She says most crime-fighting agencies are under threat the world over.
Institutions that are fighting for the rule of law are under serious threat and open to vulnerabilities.
Batoyi will continue her evidence, which will also focus on the political killings task team, whose members also include prosecutors from the NPA. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
We take you to the courts now to a story which contains some disturbing details. Ekurhuleni's alleged serial rapist says he believes one of his victims consented to the sexual act because she allegedly wrapped her arms around him during the ordeal. Sipho Lucas Piri is appearing before the Pretoria High Court today, which is sitting at the Benoni Magistrates Court. He faces more than 100 charges, including rape, kidnapping, pointing of a firearm, fraud, obstruction of justice, as well as forcing someone to witness a sexual act. His alleged reign of terror was between 2018 and 2023, when the cases of 37 women were compiled, leading to his arrest. Jabuli Limbata reports.
Today, Sipho Lucas Piri is testifying about the case of an adult woman who alleges she was raped by him in 2021. The alleged incident took place in Patfontein, Ekurhuleni, after he gave her a lift in his vehicle with the intention of taking her to work. Piri has told the court that they took a detour after he asked to pay her 500 rand to have sex with him in his vehicle, to which he claims she agreed. Through his interpreter, he claims she initiated the act.
She asked me a specific question as to where we would have the sexual encounter.
He proceeded to laugh as he demonstrated how she allegedly held him during the ordeal.
As we laid there, she was also partaking in that. She was embracing me with both her arms.
He added that at no point did she try to escape. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, Benoni.
And further afield, a Turkish military cargo plane has crashed on the border between Georgia and Azerbaijan. Officials say the plane had just taken off to return home when it went down. A search and rescue operation is taking place, but authorities have not indicated yet if there were any casualties or how many people were on board. Georgia's Interior Ministry says an investigation has been opened. Gold is trading at $4,145.89 an ounce. The rand is at 17.22 to the dollar, 22.53 to the pound, 19.87 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.07 a barrel.
On the M1 South, there's a crash at Smith Street that's backing up traffic to Houghton Drive, a stationary vehicle on the N3 North after Van Buren Road, and there's an incident on the Golden Highway ramp to the N1 North.
In your sport, Hugo Broos warns his Bafana players that the friendly against Zambia will not be a little holiday. Cristiano Ronaldo confirms that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will definitely be his last. And the Springboks shift focus to Italy as Luis Diaga waits to hear his fate following his red card.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Joburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at 25. Pretoria 15 and 27 and Vereeniging 14 at a high of 26. The top story in Eyewitness News. The city of Ekurhuleni says its decision to suspend its Deputy Metro Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi was taken following an internal probe into allegations of wrongdoing.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back to the second hour of Afternoon Drive with me, Khomotso Modise, right here on 702. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon, and it's just gone 11 minutes past 4 right here on 702. All right, quite a bit happening on the news front. If you heard there in EWN, we just heard about the suspension of Julius Mkhwanazi from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, and he's been suspended. He's a brigadier. And I've been thinking, especially after our conversation with Alvara Mushwana that you can find on the Prime Media Plus app, it's interesting to see how he's been investigated. This official has been investigated since 2023. And it's taken a dramatic, explosive press briefing by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi on the 6th of July this year. It's taken a testimony at a Madlanga commission. We've had to set up a whole commission of inquiry that's going to cost the country millions for people to finally be suspended, for people to finally be held accountable. Are you telling me that if we didn't have a Madlanga commission where we've heard testimony that Julius Mkhwanazi gave Katiso Kat Molefe blue and red lights on his cars, civilian vehicles, if we didn't hear that testimony, we wouldn't have people being held accountable and Mkhwanazi being suspended? Is that what it takes? Yeah, it's crazy business. In the next hour on 702 Drive, we're going to be speaking, we're going to be covering that report by a transnational organized crime. It's a report on drugs, extortion and cybercrime and how South Africa is ranked 7th on an organized crime index. And a little later, we're also going to be speaking about vermicomposting, which has got to do with composting through worms. It's an interesting conversation I'm looking forward to. We're going to be speaking to someone from Wizard Worms. And then in a bit, we're going to be speaking about online illegal gambling and just how prominent it's become. That and more on 702 Drive.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Khomotso and the team. That report from Alpha, he says that the mayor, Mr. Tagaza, who said that there is fraudulent activity that prevented the fraudulent activity of this Brigadier Mkhwanazi from being dealt with. It goes to show how little the ANC politicians think of the public. I mean, that was his answer. There's fraudulent activity that is stopping us from dealing with fraudulent activity. Like, really?
You know, that for me is what worries me. It worries me just how much it should take. It takes for politicians, you're right, for politicians to actually do something about glaring corruption, glaring insubordination, glaring, corrupt activities. I mean, it was clear from the report by IPID already that there was wrongdoing here. And Dr. Kagaza says, there seems to have been more fraud, there are issues with the system. I don't even know how you would substantiate something like that. When under your leadership, someone that's been recommended to be held accountable, someone that's been recommended to be, to go through disciplinary process, isn't for an entire year. And even if there have been challenges or there's something that is impeding the process, I'm not sure that can stay for an entire year. And that same official that's been cited and flagged for corrupt activities continues to work for an entire year. No, absolutely not. Let's go to the calls. I see we've got Dr. Zamo Mbele, and you want to speak about burnout linked to job hunting. Good afternoon, doctor. Thank you for calling in.
Absolutely, thanks. Jonathan invited me to kind of just give a brief comment because I think it's an incredibly important thing to recognize what you're speaking about, right? How job seeking can itself be exhausting and how individuals find themselves applying, writing, getting rejected, everything that you've spoken. And over time, those kind of cycles take energy and hope. And in fact, over time, it wears people down, right? Emotionally, mentally. And actually, those individuals present with the very same symptoms as a burnout from formal employment as well.
And what are the ways that one can keep themselves positive, and just keep going even amid the burnout? Because ultimately, you still need the job. How do you keep going?
I think it's important to firstly understand what's happening for you, which is perhaps another reason this is an important note to make, because a lot of people will be speaking about an end of year fatigue and exhaustion, but feel like they cannot because they haven't been working, but they've been job seeking. So instead of blaming themselves for what it is that they're going through, is to realize and recognize and understand the actual condition, right? I think it's even more important to perhaps even understand two further factors. One is you're likely to actually go into a job, even when you do find it, already on the back foot of burnout, right? So this is such an important topic. And of course, while you don't have vacation days or leave days, and you also don't have the reward of a paycheck, I think the last thing that I wanted to say is the potential to kind of institute some sort of breaks or vacations to looking for work is so incredibly important.
All right, Dr. Zamo Mbele there, thank you so much for your contribution. It's that conversation on job seeking and what are the tough parts or the difficult parts of job seeking. We're still taking your calls on 011 883 0702 and your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Charlene Leroux standing by. How do the roads look, Charlene?
It's not looking too bad this afternoon. There's still that earlier crash on the M1 South at Smith Street. It's eased up a bit. It's now slow moving from Parktown. There's still that stationary vehicle on the N3 North just after Van Buren Road, and an incident on the Golden Highway, the ramp to the N1 North. There's still congestion on the N1 South at the Winnie Mandela Drive off-ramp, and there's roadworks on the N12 is just before Reading Interchange. The right lane's closed, not causing delays at the moment. Traffic lights faulty in Paulshof at Witkoppen and Main Road, and in Alexandra at London and the N3. More Eyewitness News traffic in 15 minutes.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen can't help you with your spaghetti bolognese recipe, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you get home in time to work your magic in the kitchen. With the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #pointsmanlove, licensed insurer and FSP.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
What is the call for, Marlies? What are you asking? If Cyril called in right now and said, I've heard your cries, what would you like like me to do? What are you asking the president to do?
We need to declare gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. The same way that they did with COVID, they were mobilizing funds, resources so quickly. Why do the women and children of this country don't deserve the same kind of attention? All we want is for them to put resources in the right place. The promises have not been fulfilled, not one of them.
Operations and Advocacy Coordinator at Women for Change, Marlies Joget.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
This Thursday marks the first day of the second annual National Construction Summit hosted by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the Construction Industry Development Board. The Clement Manyatela Show on 702 will be live from the summit, sharing updates and more intel throughout the show. If you work in construction or are simply interested in finding out how the government is planning to solve issues affecting South African infrastructure, then don't miss it. The Clement Manyatela Show live from the second annual National Construction Summit this Thursday on 702.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Panthers Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
At Investec, we not only bank you, we bank your whole family. So wherever you are, they have full access to our services and financial support because their peace of mind is our priority. If you earn 800,000 Rand per annum or more, you may qualify for Investec Private Banking, where you'll enjoy effortless digital capabilities backed by real people who understand you. We'll even switch your account for you. Now that's private banking.
Investec is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Investec, out of the ordinary.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
It's 21 minutes past 4 on 702 Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Let's take a look at this story that's really, really concerning, and it piqued my attention. It's a story around drugs, extortion, and cybercrime, and it's based on a report that's been released by the Global Organized Crime Index. And according to this report, South Africa has ranked 7th on an organized crime index, with human trafficking, drug trade, and cybercrimes among the most prominent forms. Joining us for that conversation is Julian Rudemeyer from the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. Julian, thank you so much for your time. I think from this report, something that was really concerning for me is that it seems the crime situation is worsening because the report says the country scored higher than last year, increasing from 0.25 to 7.43 in the 2025 Global Organized Crime Index.
Thanks for having me on, Khomotso. Yes, I think what we're seeing is a trend. It's a global trend, not just a South African trend, where organized crime is reshaping itself, becoming more embedded. I think what the report finds is that the world is at something of an inflection point, and this is mirrored in geopolitical tensions, the emergence of new technologies, technological disruptions. And organized crime is reshaping and reforming itself around that. We're seeing some criminal economies expanding or growing quite dramatically. The drug trade, for instance, particularly trade in cocaine and methamphetamine, or otherwise known here as TIC, that has grown exponentially. There's more cocaine being produced today than at any other time in history. We're seeing reshaping of, for instance, cyber and financial crimes. And in many ways, the development of AI tools has supercharged those crimes. Extortion and racketeering is another one. So there's cause for very real concern about where we are, and particularly because what the index shows is that levels of resilience to organized crime are beginning to plateau around the world, and in South Africa, are also have remained largely at the same level without significant improvements.
And how exactly has AI contributed to the worsening crime situation?
I think, as far as AI is concerned, it's led to, and a range of other technologies. The use of cryptocurrencies, the use of various types of electronic banking, the various methods in which money can be moved, from Hawala networks to others. That has really had a significant impact on money laundering, on financial crimes, and so on and so forth. I think that what AI does is it enables scam artists, people running ransomware, people who are running fraud centers to scale up their activities at a rate not previously seen possible. So you can create false online identities faster. You can create compelling, videos, which we've seen in various cases around the world where people have been conned out of money thinking that they're giving, that they're investing in something that Elon Musk is selling, for instance. So there's a new sophistication that has crept into the scam world in particular, and also into cybercrime and various other forms that is being enabled in many ways by these new tools.
Julian Rademacher, thank you so much for your time. I want to refer our listeners to that report. The Global Organized Crime Index is where that report is. There's lots more in the report that I think that you can explore. I've been seeing the situation around extortion also being normalized, particularly for business owners, which is rather concerning. I've covered stories. I've heard business owners saying, "What can we do, my sister? This is how things are. We're just going to pay it," and it's covered in this report. So, yeah, this report rather eye-opening. South Africa ranked 7th on an organized crime index.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
All right, so there's a story around online illegal gambling and how the numbers there are also rather concerning. We know that South Africa is struggling with a gambling problem, but there's also, it's not just the gambling that's the issue. It's how people are finding illegal gambling platforms to take part in the gambling. And there's a report around that I think is rather worth noting. It says that South Africa marks Responsible Gambling Month this November. The South Africa Bookmakers Association has warned that illegal online gambling continues to go unchecked. And here for that conversation is John Perlman, CEO of the SA Bookmakers Association. Thank you so much for your time, Sean. Where exactly are people finding these illegal online gambling platforms?
Good afternoon, Khomotso, and thanks for having me. So really, I think it's fundamentally important to allow your listeners to understand the difference between a legal site and an illegal site. So when we talk about legal sites, those are bookmaking websites that are legally licensed by one of the 9 provincial gambling boards in South Africa. And an illegal site is where the site is licensed in a foreign jurisdiction and allows customers from South Africa to bet on their site in that foreign jurisdiction, the likes of Curacao or Malta, the Philippines, to name a few. And they shouldn't be allowing access to South African citizens to do that because our law doesn't permit it. And that's the fundamental difference. And just from a health perspective, if a South African citizen is concerned as to whether they're playing on an illegal site or a legal site, one of the simple things to do is on the landing page of the site, you can scroll down to the bottom, and in every single instance, a South African legally licensed website will contain the details of one of the 9 provinces, gambling boards contained there with a registration number, if it's a company, and a license number, and you can then easily distinguish. If you go down to the bottom of a website and it says Curacao, Malta, the Philippines, or any other one of these pseudo-licensing jurisdictions, you're gambling on an illegal site, and your winnings may be confiscated through the National Gambling Board and in terms of the legislation. So where are they found? They're available freely on the internet. There's a lot of influencers that promote these sites. There's a lot of what we call affiliates who are not gambling sites themselves, but they direct traffic to the gambling sites by advertising the sites on their sites, and for that they get a return of revenue if that ends up in a customer signing up. So if I go onto XYZ site that's selling something and I see an advert for example, springbokcasino.com, and I click through and I get onto springbokcasino.com and I eventually open an account on this illegal site, then XYZ site, being the affiliate, picks up a revenue stream from that, and so promotes those illegal sites.
John Perlman is the CEO of the SA Bookmakers Association, talking us through the illegal online gambling market and just how easy it is to end up or find yourself on a site like that. I'd imagine when people are gambling online, I'm not sure you're going on the site actually looking for the signs of an illegal or illegal platform. But I think a reason for you to do so is if you're a gambler, you heard him say you may lose your winnings, and we don't want that to happen. So please keep your eyes peeled.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis is in studio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Khamotso. Yeah, we'll actually speak to the CEO of one of the online gambling sites on the Money Show tonight, just after 6 o'clock. Looking forward to that conversation. There's a lot to ask. The JSE All Share up 0.38% at 111,265 points. Financials down 0.06%. Industrials down 0.19%. Resources up 1.8% on the day. Quite a lot actually moving today. So the Premier Group, they're up 5.5% today. They reported their headline earnings per share up by nearly 28% for the 6 months to the end of September. The group's Millbake division grew revenue by 6%, lots of yeast there. Their groceries division increased revenue by 8.1%. They've clearly been eating all their carrots. Santam up by nearly 5.5% today, did report this afternoon that their conventional insurance business had net earned premium growth of around 16%. They say there were solid contributions from all of their businesses except for Santam Specialist Solutions. MyWay's growth has accelerated. All in all, a very strong update, and that's led to that response from investors today. And Barlow World saying today that its headline earnings per share are expected to be around 20% lower for the year, to the end of the period. It says that's mainly because of the decline in trading activities in its Russian arm, lower demand across some Southern African markets. Khamotso, it's one of Barlow World's last SENS announcements because they've been been taken over, and they'll delist as a result. So not the best way on which to end their relationship with the JSE. AVI is up nearly 5%. The gold and platinum miners up strongly, and British American Tobacco are also up 2.44%. Richmond as well. Karoo down again today. The car technology company, Pick n Pay and Boxer down by around 3%. Shoprite following on from yesterday, they're down 2%. Well, Telkom coming back a little bit after what happened yesterday. They surged strongly on the back of a strong update. They're down 1.93%. And the JSE itself, the JSE trades on the JSE, they're down another 1.5% after that news yesterday that they've been referred to the Competition Tribunal. Futures on Wall Street flat to lower today. Concerns, those markets just opening now, around the valuations of technology shares. Obviously, there's a little bit of a boost around because of the sort of reopening of the U.S. federal government. The gold price, $4,138.16. Platinum, $1,592.54. Brent crude, $64.64. The rand to the dollar, back where it was yesterday, 17.16 to the euro, 19.89 to the British pound, 22.55. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thank you so much. All right, it's time now for our EWN headlines. It's EWN actually at 16:32. Mbali Dlamini is standing by.
Thanks, Khamotso. Good afternoon. Deputy President Paul Mashatile says the country's high unemployment rate remains concerning and a top priority. He says the marginal drop in the unemployment rate brings him no comfort. Today, Stats SA announced the official unemployment rate decreased in 7 provinces between the second and third quarters of the year. The overall unemployment rate also dropped slightly to 31.9%. Answering questions in the National Assembly this afternoon, Mashatile agreed with BOSA leader Musi Maimane that education and skills should be placed at the top of government's reform agenda.
We are very concerned about high levels of unemployment. Even when sometimes they say unemployment has declined a bit by 1%, we don't become excited because it's still high. And therefore, we need to do everything to ensure that these plans that we are reviewing them to ensure that they are implemented faster.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero has rubbished claims that the city's inner-city turnaround efforts are driven solely by the upcoming G20 summit. The international gathering is set to get underway in the next 2 weeks, with global leaders expected to flock to Johannesburg. Concerns have been raised about the state of the city, particularly in areas where service delivery has deteriorated. Addressing the media today, Morero says the city's work to rehabilitate the CBD will continue beyond the G20 summit.
We also reaffirm that the Joburg turnaround plan continues decisively beyond major events like the G20. The turnaround plan is the backbone of our service delivery renewal and the foundation upon which we are building a stronger, more capable city.
To this now, Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi says a breakthrough in the clinical trial for an oral cholera vaccine is an opportunity for the country to be relieved from depending on international pharmaceuticals. The minister addressed the media at the launch of the cholera vaccine made in South Africa at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital in Soweto today. South African biopharmaceutical company BioVac has already begun clinical trials for the life-saving vaccine. Tanduluhle Ngobo has more.
Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has acknowledged the difficulty for countries in the global south to manufacture their own pharmaceuticals, including vaccines.
Because those are generally manufactured in the global north. So South Africa is no exception.
During the launch, Chief Scientific Officer at the South African Medical Research Council, Professor Glenda Gray, explained that the vaccine comes in 2 doses to be taken 2 weeks apart orally. Gray says so far, the patients who have volunteered for the clinical trial have consumed the vaccine with no complications or side effects detected. Motsoaledi says the breakthrough will also be discussed at the upcoming World Leaders G20 Summit. Tanduluhle Ngobo, Eyewitness News.
And the Pakistani Taliban militant group has claimed responsibility for a suicide bomb blast which killed at least 12 people in the capital Islamabad today. In a statement, the group says judges, lawyers and officials who carried out rulings under Pakistan's UN Islamic laws were targeted. As a result of the bombing, around 20 wounded people have been taken to nearby medical facilities. The militant group also threatened to carry out more attacks until Islamic law is implemented in the Muslim majority country. A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 13 and 12 degrees and highs of between 25 and 27.
There's a stationary vehicle on the N3 North after Van Buren Road and an incident on the Golden Highway ramp, and that's onto the N1 North. And if you're on the N12 East, be on the lookout for a stationary vehicle after the ramp to Edenvale Road.
A top story in EWN. Deputy President Paul Mashatile says the country's high unemployment rate remains a concern as well as a top priority.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The Commission for Gender Equality calling on Parliament to review a 70-year-old law on witchcraft. There are people who, in engaging in practices of witchcraft, target children for rape and sexual abuse as a way to empower themselves. What kind of madness is that? What ancestors, what power will you summon that would demand that of you? I'm emotional about this.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Day 20, awaiting proof of payment. Day 30, still waiting. Day 40, funds finally cleared. In business, credit with 55 interest-free days keeps you moving. We get it. Get an ABSA Business Credit Card. Use over 50% of your credit and initiation fees will be on us. Offer ends 31 December 2025. Apply at absa.co.za/business. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. ABSA, your story matters.
Experience a unique musical journey as the Mzansi National Philharmonic Orchestra presents its national tour, featuring legendary conductor Marin Alsop and homegrown global sensation Abel Selauchwe. The program includes Selauchwe's Four Spirits Cello Concerto, paired with Rachmaninoff's Romantic Symphony No. 2. Concerts take place at the Linda Auditorium on Wednesday the 10th and Thursday the 11th of December. Book your tickets now at Quicket.
EWN Sport.
Mganga, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. Hugo Bruce has made it clear that Saturday's friendly against Zambia will be treated with the same intensity and purpose as a FIFA World Cup or AFCON qualifier. Bafana have already qualified for next year's Global Showpiece event and will host Chipolopolo at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Gqeberha. It's the last chance for players to impress, with Bruce naming his AFCON 2025 squad in the first week of December.
We are South Africa now, and this was different than 2 years ago. We were a team of South Africa. And yeah, with the performances we did and the results we had, also the opponents will start a game and prepare a game a little bit different than 2 years ago. And that is for us now the next step we have to make.
Vela Kumalo believes that the under-17 success at their World Cup is proof that South African football is on the right track. Amajimbos qualified for the knockout stages despite losing 3-1 to Italy in their final group game, and are waiting to find out who their next opponents will be. Their progression comes on the back of Amajita also advancing to the last 16 of the Under-20 World Cup.
The dream is being realized here. I think we are in the right direction. I think what we have been dreaming about for 2 years now, we are almost there. So it is something that one cannot really explain in many words, but it was a good moment. It's huge for me. It's huge for the boys. I think it's huge for the country. It's a big thing for the country to say at the youth level, we are able to get to this level.
Gennaro Gattuso has revealed that Federico Chiesa has once again declined to be called up for Italy, this time ahead of their final 2 FIFA World Cup qualifiers this week. The Italians travel to Moldova on Thursday before a showdown with group leaders Norway on Sunday. Gattuso says he has no choice but to respect the players' wishes to sit out the matches, which will determine which side automatically qualifies for the finals and who contests the playoffs. And switching over to rugby, where the Springboks will look to keep their winning run going when they clash with Italy in their third outgoing test on Saturday. There are a few battered bodies in the team after they played with 14 men for the entire second half of their win over France. But assistant coach Tony Brown is confident in their ability to recover.
Battles are up front around the scrum and the maul, and then after that it's the breakdown. All the physical areas of the game, we're going to have to be very good. They'll be confident as a team. Playing at home is always great for any rugby player, and they're very passionate, and there's going to be a big crowd. So it's really important that as a rugby team that we meet that challenge with our preparation and our physicality.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Charlene Leroux, how are the roads looking?
Thanks so much, Khomotso. Well, there's still that stationary vehicle on the N3 North just after Van Buren Road, and that incident on the Golden Highway ramped to the N1 North. And there's roadworks on the N12 East. It's just before Reading Interchange with the right lane closed, not causing delays at the moment. And there's a stationary vehicle on the N12 East after the ramp to Edenvale Road. And in Edenvale, traffic lights are out at Moderdam Road and Van Riebeek, as well as Modderfontein and the N3. More Eyewitness News traffic at 5 p.m.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
8 out of 10 radio listeners suffer from CAR, or car advertising on repeat. Symptoms include fatigue, anxiety, and confusion. With so many car ads coming at you on your daily commute, buying or selling a car can feel overwhelming. But there is a cure.
Cars.co.za. Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to Cars.co.za and let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.
702 Podcast
on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
It's 42 minutes past 4, or I should say 16:42, almost a quarter to 5 right here on 702 Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're together until 6 p.m. this afternoon. I've been reading some of the comments around the job-seeking conversation that we were having, and someone says that the hardest part about finding a job is finding a job. Or looking for a job is finding a job. Other people have been speaking about nepotism. I saw a comment that the biggest problem is nepotism. And someone says, when they say send your payslip first. Yeah, that's a hard one, hey? Because at the point where they say, what do you want to underpay me? What's going on? Are you trying to determine how much I'm worth paying? Yeah, it's a tricky one. All right, with me, I've got Rufu, and we were having a conversation a little earlier about intrusive thoughts. And it actually emanated from something that she said the other day that she felt like doing to the other producer, Jono. Rufue, umutulidi intrusive thoughts. Is this something that you generally have? Where these things just pop up in your mind? To be honest, I didn't know what they are. I wasn't even sure. Yeah, if I had, but now I think I get what you mean. But I was surprised by what you said. Your intrusive thought was. Good afternoon.
I almost feel bad. But I'll speak my truth. So the way I understand intrusive thoughts, these are random thoughts that sort of creep into your mind, wanting you to action something. And this could be anything random. Okay, so just yesterday, I was looking at Kabazelo Jonathan. And in my mind, I was like, what would he do if I just randomly punched him and ran away?
I mean,
punched him hard, not like a cute little punch. It was a proper, I'm going to punch you and run away.
But where would that even come from?
I don't know. It just landed in my mind. And I actually told him about it. I was like, listen, I feel like punching you now. I just had an intrusive thought. And I just thought I should be transparent. And he, God bless him, so kind. He's like, why don't you just punch me?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So he offered, he's like, just do it. And I didn't do it.
So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I was looking for whether people feel the same way, and I realized that it's a common thing. People generally have intrusive thoughts, and I've been wondering if I do too. I suppose I need to think back. Tola,
I do, but mainly in a funny way. Let's say we're having a conversation, and then maybe you'll say a sentence that I know from a song. So in my head, already I'll start singing the song and then I'll sing it out loud. You could be telling the world's most serious story.
Yeah.
But because I heard the word, oh, let it burn, then in my head I'm just like, let it burn. And then I'm just...
But how do people react to that? Sorry.
No.
There's always like that blank stare for like a minute and they're like, I'm trying to be open and honest. I'm like, you just have to let it like ride out, because once the song is out of my head, then I can go back to concentrating again.
But do you actually sing the song?
Yes.
Okay,
Badly
so you're like me.
badly.
Yeah. Okay. Is that an intrusive thought? Because that happens to me all the time.
It is, girl.
My friends know I have a song for everything. Okay. So, all right. So I get it. So it's not always a bad thing. But I also realize that there's intrusive thoughts that give you the urge to want to do something. So some people, I heard you say something about people wanting to jump off a bridge or...
Jump off a bridge, pushing that button that says, do not push. But your mind's like, just push it, let's see what happens. So it's not always a dark thing. It could be fun. It can also be slightly dark, like punching people.
Sure. Okay, intrusive thoughts. I don't know. I'm taking your thoughts. 072-702-1702, 011-883-0702. I've been trying to figure out if and now actually from Tolagila's experience or her view, I realized maybe I also do. I didn't think of it as being intrusive. I always have a song for everything. So whatever sentences you have, a song will pop up. In fact, my friends always say, Khomzo, I need you to stop singing. So maybe that's my intrusive thoughts. But do you experience those, and do you act on them? So once you have the thought, do you act on it? Do you actually do what you were going to do or what you're thinking of doing? And do you know what prompts the thought? Is it just something that just pops up, or is it something that you may have been thinking about for a while and it comes up again in your mind and it lingers? I wonder. Listen, I'm taking your calls. I'd love to hear from you right here on 702 Drive.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So a story has been playing out in KZN, and it's the story of the Nzimande brothers who have returned from Eswatini in relation to the arrest or the murder, I should say, of AKA and Tibello Tibbs Motswane. It's been a long journey before the Nzimande brothers could be brought back onto South African soil. There's been an extradition back and forth in Eswatini courts, and we saw pictures today of them actually being moved from the King Mswati International Airport traveling to South Africa. They have now appeared in court and their matter has wrapped up for the day. EWN reporter Nhlanhla Mabaso has been in court this afternoon and he joins us now live. Nhlanhla, thank you so much for your time. Maybe just remind us first who the Ndimande brothers are and what the process has been to getting them in court.
Almost the two Ndimande brothers, two suspects were wanted at the time were suspects, now accused. They were wanted for various crime-related cases here in KwaZulu-Natal, including murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, but particularly the murder of rapper Keenan Forbes and businessman Tibelo Mutswane, who were killed in February when they were leaving 2023, when they were leaving the Wish restaurant on Florida Road. According to the state, Siyabonga and Demande was the actual shooter who pulled the trigger on AKA. They are also brothers, by the way, is Khomutso, with accused two in the case of the other 5 suspects linked to the murder of rapper Keenan Forbes. Now, this brings to total 7 accused, whom all had different roles to play. There were 2 shooters, there were 2 spotters, including Mzwetemba Kwabeni, the alleged mastermind, who coordinated this team and then later paid them 133,000 rand each for their involvement in the murder case. But these 2 brothers, Khomutso, were arrested in Eswatini last year before these other 5 were arrested. So these ones fled the country after the murder case. But SAPS was the one that actually found out about their whereabouts through intelligence and then alerted the authorities, as you heard Brigadier Adlenda Mate thanking authorities in Eswatini for, what she says is a great collaboration. So these were the 2 other suspects sought for the murder of AKA, like I've mentioned. Now this brings to total 7 accused in the matter, and I expect it to stand trial together come next year.
And what's taken so long, Nhlanhla? Why? I mean, they were arrested last year. There's been a long extradition matter, hasn't there?
Yeah, indeed, Khomutso. They were opposing it. They said they didn't want to be prosecuted in South Africa. They wanted to be in Eswatini fighting safety concerns. And, it was a whole lot of a process with the South African government and the MK also trying to get on board, wanting to, bring them back here so that they can prosecute them here. But according to Advocate Lawrence Taba, the senior prosecutor in this matter, he said, well, whether they are in Eswatini or not, this particular case of the 5 cannot stop. But it came to a point where they actually surrendered. They themselves surrendered. The dramatic scene you saw earlier on with, armored vehicles escorting them, a helicopter harboring in there, a specialized unit, special task force, NIU, tactical response team, escorting just 2 men is because it's not just only for their safety, Khomutso. They are also deemed to be very dangerous. These are said to be hitmen who were involved in taxi-related issues. For an example, in court today, they were also charged for a murder of a taxi boss who was killed in Amanzimtuti, I think about 2 years back. They were also facing other charges where they were actually allegedly sent to kill someone, and then they shot a wrong person. That's according to the state. But now, they are now facing this, particularly the high-profile case of Mutswane and Forbes, but as well as these other charges, which, of course, they will be standing trial. And I must mention, Khomotso, that all of these guys have separate murder cases and other cases that they face, hence the strategy that was deployed by SAPS in their arrest. They were never arrested for the murder of Keenan Forbes at Go. All of them were identified and arrested for parallel cases that they have. And then once all coordinated and once in police custody, then were officially charged with the murder of AKA. Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was in court. He actually says that their investigations continue, but now he says the main thing, they are now following that over 800,000 rand that came into Mzwetemba Kwabeni's account. They want to know who was the man or female who made that call to Kwabeni to say, get this team together, get this person killed. Because police have said that the actual mastermind, Khomotso, was Keenan Forbes and that Mutswane was killed in crossfire.
Okay. And we're expecting the matter to be heard again when next month?
The 25th of this month, so they will come back to court where they will then, the matter was adjourned for consultation. Sure. Remember, these are accused who were in Eswatini, represented by the same legal team, but they are now receiving new instructions. So we'll hear whether they will be applying for bail or not.
Right. Let's leave it there. That's Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter who's out in KZN, been following the appearance of the Demande brothers who have been brought from Eswatini to face the charges for the murders of Keenan, a.k.a. Forbes, and his friend Tibelo Tibbs Mutswane.
702 Podcast
on primemediaplus.com.
So the green tip of the week is brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Each week we'll highlight someone or something impacting the way we can be greener, cleaner and smarter, healthier and eco-friendly. Remember, when you had to wait for dial-up connect, technology moves on. Why are people still driving cars like 1999? Volvo's plug-in hybrids are the upgrade you've been waiting for. You don't need diesel power. You just need a second electric motor. Just like you updated from dial-up to fiber, you can upgrade your drive with electric for the city and fuel for the open road. Don't be the last one to catch up. You're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. All right, for today's conversation on the green tip, we're speaking about vermicompost. And it's an interesting concept around compost. And for that conversation, we have Patsy Blacklaw, who's the co-founder of Wizard Worms. Patsy, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe let's just start with how vermicompost differs from normal composting.
Well, hello, Kamisa. It differs because it's pure worm casts, and the worm casts is the feces from the worms, which is pure plant food, feeds the soil, and as I said, feeds the plants. So it's wonderful, wonderful stuff, wonderful compost.
Yeah. And so why would someone want to decide to go into the vermicomposting route instead of just normal compost?
Because it's more beneficial if it's been through the compost is more beneficial if it's been through the worm's gut. These earthworms, are actually 6,500 different types of earthworm. And the ones we use are called Encia foetida. They live on the very top of the forest floor, where it's very organic and damp. And they feed on that sort of environment, so they have to have a very damp environment. They eat all your kitchen waste, so nothing goes to the landfill. They also eat cardboard. They have to have cardboard in their diet. Grass cuttings you can use, horse manure, cow manure, obviously no plastics, old grass cuttings, and the worms eat all this and turn it into a wonderful plant food.
And I realize that it's seen as a fun activity for children, school children to take part in as well. If one is trying to get into vermicomposting, what would I have to do?
You'd have to get a container, and then you can buy worms from us, earthworms from us, or you can buy the containers, and then you feed them all your kitchen waste, your tea bags, eggshells, banana skins, all of that sort of thing. And as I said, damp cardboard, just tear it up and put in, like your toilet rolls, biscuit boxes, tea boxes, and grass cuttings that have gone brown. You must leave them for about 2 or 3 weeks so that they break down completely. If you put them on green, they will heat up and kill the worms. And you can also use computer paper. So they eat a tremendous lot of stuff that one would normally send to the landfill.
Sure. And normal worms, earthworms that you find in your garden, those are not suitable for vermicomposting?
Not really. They do their own job. There's so many different ones. You've got very long ones that burrow right down. But they say that the earthworms are the farmers of the soil. They do all the work for you. They aerate the soil. They take all the nutrients down, feed the plants. So all you've got to do is look after the worms and keep them nice and happy. And they will breed according to the amount of food that you give them.
Yeah. And is this an expensive process?
No, not at all. The worms aren't expensive. It's better to keep them in a container. If you put them onto the soil and it's not organic and damp, they will die. These particular worms.
Yeah.
There are other worms that do different jobs. So the earthworms are very important, especially in the soils now. We're getting farmers saying our soils are dead. How can we get earthworms into the soil again?
All right, that's Patsy Blacklaw talking us through the concept of vermicomposting. I've actually heard from colleagues here that one of our colleagues at Teki Sodofifi is into vermicomposting. I haven't met anyone else who is. We all know the traditional way of, compost or composting, but this definitely does sound like it's a lovely way, to keep the soil healthy. All right, thank you for that conversation. That's Patsy Blacklaw from Wizard Worms. She's the co-founder at Wizard Worms.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Green Tip of the Week was brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Tune in again next week, Tuesday, for another Green Tip of the Week.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The loud conversation about the decision by the United States under Donald Trump to boycott the G20. I must be honest with you that I don't understand it. Hell, man. It's one country. They've decided they don't want to come. The other 19 are coming. Can we just get on with it? What if your biggest bully is not as scary as you think he is anymore? There was a time. Maybe Donald Trump is no longer as scary as he used to be. He's a sweet old man who's a little eccentric. And just need to move on, hey?
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Now this is a real Black Friday deal. Get a car insurance quote from Outsurance today. And if they can't beat what you're paying, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim free and with the same insurer for 3 years. You could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. You've got nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Introducing South Africa's most affordable way to get hearing aids. At Specsavers Audiology, you can now get a pair of hearing aids from as little as 599 Rand per month. Hearing clearly shouldn't be a luxury. Enjoy life's moments from 599 Rand per month. Test your hearing today and join the conversation with Specsavers Audiology. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
The ANC grants Senzo Mchunu special leave and suspended EMPD chief Julius Mkhwanazi, accused of abusing his power. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. The ANC has granted its senior member Senzo Mchunu's request to step away from his party duties following allegations linking him to suspected criminal Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula made the announcement at a media briefing a short while ago that Mchunu will temporarily step away from his duties on the party's National Executive Committee. Mchunu had initially asked to be excused from his NEC duties while he deals with the allegations. His request was declined by the party. Balula has confirmed that the party has now decided to grant Mchunu's request to step back from his party responsibilities, at least for the time being.
It is practically impossible not to agree to that particular request, pending the processes that have been undertaken at the present moment, so that he's got no burden on himself or the ANC.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has heard that suspended EMPD chief Julius Mkhwanazi appointed himself into that position. Mkhwanazi is accused of abusing his powers by doing so. Mkhwanazi was allegedly appointed acting head of the Community Safety Department last year, under which EMPD falls and accounts to. Oren Singh reports.
Allegations of gross misconduct and abuse of powers have once again been levelled against embattled, suspended EMPD acting head Julius Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi was officially suspended by the city of Ekurhuleni this afternoon after being placed on special leave last month. This after allegations of misconduct were levelled against him before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Retired EMPD Deputy Commissioner Revo Spies accuses Mkhwanazi of abusing his powers, citing his self-appointment to the role of acting EMPD chief.
He made himself out as the acting chief because he signed directives and he signed letters, but there's no formal letter where he's appointed as the acting chief of police. He's appointed on an acting letter as the the acting HOD of Community Safety.
According to Spies, Mkonazi couldn't serve as the acting HOD for Community Safety and the acting head of EMPD at the same time, but had been doing so. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
To Parliament now, where National Director of Public Prosecution Shamila Batoyi says institutions that are fighting for the rule of law are under serious threat. She says the allegations of corruption and interference in the criminal justice system made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi are an opportunity for the vulnerabilities in the system to be examined and addressed. Batoyi has been giving evidence before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating Mkhwanazi's allegations. Babalondenze reports.
Shamila Batoyi started her testimony by giving the committee a summary of her background before her appointment as the head of the National Prosecuting Authority 6 years ago. She also told the committee during her testimony that she received information from a confidential source about a concerted effort to undermine the work of the NPA.
A member from a particular agency, and who gave me this information because the person thought it was important that as the head of the NPA, I should be aware of this attempts to undermine the work of the NPA.
She says most crime-fighting agencies are under threat the world over.
Institutions that are fighting for the rule of law are under serious threat and open to vulnerabilities.
Batoyi will continue her evidence, which will also focus on the political killings task team, whose members also include prosecutors from the NPA. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Stats SA says the official unemployment rate decreased in 7 provinces between the second and third quarters of the year. This after the overall unemployment rate also dipped to 31.9% in the 3 months through September, coming down from 33.2%. Stats SA released the latest data today. The largest decrease was recorded in Limpopo, while the only increase was recorded in the Eastern Cape, where the unemployment rate far surpasses the national average. Statistician General Rizenga Maluleke.
It is because the rural provinces are far away from urban centers where people would be ready to take up employment. That is why when we look at provinces like Gauteng, the gap between the red color and the gray color is narrower. So is the Western Cape. Whereas when we look at provinces like your Northwest, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, we can see that the gap is relatively wider.
And further afield, a Turkish military cargo plane has crashed on the border between Georgia and Azerbaijan. Officials say the plane had just taken off to return home when it went down. A search and rescue operation is currently underway, but authorities have not indicated yet if there were any casualties or how many people were on board. Georgia's Interior Ministry has announced that an investigation has been opened. Gold is trading at $4,142.98 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 22.54 to the pound, 19.88 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.06 a barrel.
On the N3 North, there's a crash after Geldenes interchange. The right lane's closed, and there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 North obstructing the right lane after Rivonia Road.
In your sport, Hugo Bruch warns his Bafana players that the friendly against Zambia will not be a little holiday. Cristiano Ronaldo confirms that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will definitely be his last. And the Springboks shift focus to Italy as Luis Diaga waits to hear his fate following his red card.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon showers and thundershowers expected. Joburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at a high of 25. Pretoria 15 and 27, and Vereeniging 14 at a high of 26 degrees. The top story in EWN The Sawa. The ANC has granted its senior member Senzo Mchunu request to step away from his party duties following allegations linking him to suspected criminal Vusimuzi Katmatlala.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. This is the third and final hour of Afternoon Drive with me, Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. It's 8 minutes past 5. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm with you until 6 this afternoon. And it's a day of news, breaking news, but also just the news stories just keep rolling in. It's a very news-heavy day. You heard there in EWN that the ANC, or Senzo Mchunu, has been granted special leave from ANC activities. I suppose this means he may also then I wonder if this means he'll be fired as police minister. I'm looking at the statement by the ANC, which they've uploaded to their X account, and it says ANC confirms Kader Senzo Mchunu's willingness to step aside from organizational work. It's taken how many months? Let's count from July, August, September, October, November. It's taken 4 months for him to come out. It actually feels like a lifetime since we heard that press briefing from General Nhlanhla. But yes, it seems something's moving within the ANC. They recognize that Mchunu cannot continue as normal, especially with all the allegations that are popping up at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And speaking of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, in the next hour, we'll be having Oren Singh, who'll come onto the show to tell us what's been going on this afternoon on the Madlanga Commission. Of course, this is in light also of acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi being suspended this afternoon. We heard there was testimony about him yesterday, and I'm certain that we're going to continue to hear more testimony about him as the commission continues. We're also going to go to Parliament, where we'll speak to Babalo Ndenze. Shamala Batohi, the head of the NPA, has been testifying. She's actually on the screen now. A little earlier, I noted that she says that there is no corruption at IDAC, or is it it's the investigating directorate, IDAC. She's continuing to respond to allegations of corruption within the NPA as well as its wing IDAC. So Babalo Ndenze will bring us up to speed on that. And then later on in the show, it is our song feature, and I'm looking forward to that a little later. But this is Afternoon Drive right here on 702. Thank you so much for tuning in.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Khomotso and your team. Khomotso, about the Nzimande brothers. I saw the video or their pictures as they were getting off the armored police vehicle. What bothers me? Always what bothers me is these young men who become contract killers. Exactly what's going on with these young men who simply choose? It's a choice. Choose to become career killers. Something is not right.
Yeah.
Smangaliso wa Khanye Intemiso.
Smangaliso, after covering the courts for so long, I always say that one day when I channel my inner Mandy Wiener and I decide to write a book or two, I would love to write about the Nkabi culture, the hitman culture in parts of KZN. And particularly, I say KZN because in many of the cases I've covered, that's really where many of the hitmen, come from. But also, there's always mention of that culture in parts of, I believe it's Kwanongoma. That's one of the areas that I hear a lot in conversation whenever I'm in the courts, where police officials will even say, this is where people find hitmen. This is where they find Inkabi. And you're right, it's absolutely concerning. But once you speak to many of these guys that have chosen that life, and some who are police officers that have been investigating that, you start to realize that really the chances of slipping out and actually going out and being something greater when you're from areas like that are slim to none. That the culture there is so embedded that being a hitman is almost the next obvious natural step, that people take. And you're right, we need to start questioning why, and we need to start finding ways, because it's young men whose lives are being lost to this horrible, horrible act of crime.
EWN Traffic.
Charlene Leroux, you've got an update from the roads.
Yes, on the N3 North, there's that crash. That's just after Geldenes interchange. The right lane's closed. You can expect delays. And if you're on the N1 North, be on the lookout for a stationary vehicle, and that's in the right lane. It's just after Rivonia Road. And there seems to be roadworks on the N12 East before Reading interchange. The right lane is closed, and traffic lights still faulty at London Road and the N3 in Alexandra, and in Paulshof at Witkoppen and Main Road, and in Pretoria CBD at Bosman and Versaghi. More Eyewitness News traffic in 15 minutes.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
A huge police operation today to, I suppose, protect the two Ndimande brothers.
It's been a long road for the team. We have been anticipating this moment for quite some time. We are leaving nothing to chance. It's a high-risk operation. We are not just dealing with your normal day-to-day criminals. We are dealing with contract killers. They need to come and tell us who sent them to go and kill AKA and tips. We do believe they have the answers.
Aklende Mate, Brigadier.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
This Thursday, the Clement Manyatela Show will be live from the second annual National Construction Summit hosted by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the Construction Industry Development Board. If you work in construction or are simply interested in finding out how the government is planning to solve issues affecting South African infrastructure, make sure you don't miss it. The Clement Manyatela Show live from the second annual National Construction Summit this Thursday on 702.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actis-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
I'm Samela Kilboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Increase the health promotion levy on sugary drinks. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
702 Podcast
on primemediaplus.com.
Welcome back. It's 15 minutes past 5. This is the afternoon drive on 702 with me, Khomozo Modise. Let's go to the story now. The Madlanga Commission is still playing out, and we've been hearing testimony about Julius Mkhwanazi. Yes, that's the same Julius Mkhwanazi who's been suspended as EMPD head or acting head of the EMPD. Oren Singh has been following that story, and he joins us now live. Oren, what more have we been hearing about Mkhwanazi this afternoon at the Commission?
Well, essentially, Khomoto, we've been hearing about how he used his proximity to the former city manager, Imogen Moshazi, to kind of push a certain agenda within Ekurhuleni as well as EMPD, that he was able to refuse the vetting process that a lot of EMPD senior officials were subjected to, and he outright refused to be vetted to ascertain whether he would be granted the relevant security clearance in order to hold a senior position within EMPD, and that he had complained to Imogen Moshazi that the likes of Rebo Spies, who has been testifying before the Commission, the former Deputy Commissioner of EMPD, had initiated this call for all senior top management within EMPD to get vetted, and that he outright refused. So that proximity to the former city manager once again coming up in the Commission, but we also heard startling allegations about how many members of EMPD were found to have criminal records. This was done in 2022. There was a drive by EMPD to ascertain how many members within the units, and there was about 3,762 members within EMPD at that stage, had criminal records. And of that figure, there was about 275 EMPD officials that had criminal records, some of them dating back to the early 90s and 80s, but questions raised by Revo Spies as to how did they get into EMPD as law enforcement officers with criminal records.
Yes, I saw that headline and it was really, really startling for me. And the first thing that I was wondering was, are these all people that had criminal records before they entered the police force, or did some of these officers get these criminal records once they were employed?
The question was put to Revo Spies as to whether this was the case. Did some of them have these records prior to entering the force or while they were part of EMPD? And it's a combination of both, because we see that off that figure, that 3,762 members of EMPDs, 100 of them are awaiting trial. And many of these cases were reported, many of them being assaults, thefts, murders, kidnappings, sale of liquor, drunken driving, negligent driving. Many of them occurred while these members were employed within EMPD as well.
And did they continue to work?
They continue to work. That process of establishing how many members of EMPD had criminal records was initiated, but then was brought to a complete halt. And Revo Spies alleges that this was as a result of Julius Mkonazi colluding with the former city manager Imogen Mashazi in working to bring that process to a complete stop and not essentially seeing it through.
Is the inference here that Julius Mkonazi, because he's so corrupt, according to Revo Spies and others, he was what? He was keeping police officers who were just as corrupt within employment, kind of saving their backs so that they can do the same? What's being inferred here?
The impression given by Revo Spies is that Julius Mkonazi was running a rogue unit. At the time in which he had illegally or unlawfully entered into this agreement with criminally accused Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, which would essentially see Matlala's private security vehicles being fitted with blue lights and basically being allowed impunity to operate within the whole province, not just within Nkuruleni, using these blue lights. It seems that Mkonazi was operating and had a rogue unit under his command. Several members of EMPD that were directly responsible and reporting to Mkonazi were found to have been involved in cases of murder, theft, corruption, fraud. But despite criminal cases being opened against these members by SAPS as well as IPID, nothing has been done against these members, or no action has been taken against them to date. So essentially painting this picture that Mkonazi was a law unto himself and is a law unto himself within both the city of Ekurhuleni but as well as EMPD.
Does Revo Spies say why Mkonazi seemed to be so untouchable?
Not really. He kind of alludes to this questionable relationship between Mkonazi and Imogen Mashazi, but without drawing too much speculation around what's happened so far and the information that's been put forward at the Madlanga Commission, I think we know that Vusimuzi Cat Matlala had a lot of access to money. We know that he has a lot of pull when it comes to law enforcement, not only within EMPD, but we saw him being granted a 360 million rand police contract last year, which was cancelled essentially this year. So we know that Vusimuzi Cat Matlala had a lot of pull within law enforcement, and he was connected to powerful people. And one of those powerful people, as is being alleged before the Madlanga Commission, is Julius Mkonazi, but not only Mkonazi himself. It's likely, and it's more likely coming to light, that it is that of the former city manager, Imogen Mashazi.
All right, let's leave it there. That's Aaron Singh, EWN reporter, giving us an update from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And I found that really, really concerning. The 3,000 criminal records, the 3,000 police officers with criminal records of charges including assault, theft, driving under the influence, reckless and negligent driving, and 15 EMPD officers awaiting trial for murder. 15 EMPD officers awaiting trial for murder. And they continue to work. We expect them to continue to enforce the law while they are in the red. That for me was really, really concerning. But I think our jaws are just going to stay on the floor throughout this Madlanga Commission. So we'll continue to follow it closely.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So something that's linked to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is the Police Ad Hoc Committee also that's playing out in Parliament. And today in Parliament is NPA head Shamila Batohi, Advocate Shamila Batohi, who's been testifying throughout the day. And joining us to help us make sense of that testimony is EWN parliamentary reporter Babalo Ndenze. Babalo, I see that Batohi has been speaking a lot about the work of IDAC, the Investigative Directorate, and it seems to me, at least from the headlines I've seen, that she's really come out to defend IDAC, really saying that there isn't much corruption there. Is that so?
Yes, indeed, Homos. And if you remember, the IDAC head, Andrea Johnson, was before the committee on Thursday last week, where she made representations and submissions, basically telling the committee that, she has no one, over the last year, she said there was no one that exercised oversight over IDAC until a judge was appointed only recently in October. And oversight was really by the NDPP, Shamila Batohi. She was the person that they were really reporting to on key matters. And she says that, IDAC head Andrea Johnson would give her high-level briefings on issues, especially on issues related to crime intelligence, especially that decision by Andrea Johnson to arrest Dumsani Khumalo, of the crime intelligence head. She says that she even put a question to Andrea Johnson about this decision to arrest Khumalo, and she says, she asked her that whether she's sure that this is a watertight case. And she says that the report that she got from IDAC is that indeed that arrest was, a watertight case. They still insist that Khumalo has a case to answer. So she's all but defended IDAC and all its decisions over the last couple of years, over the last year rather, since it became permanent. And she's also saying that, there is no space for any unethical prosecutors or officials within the NPA or IDAC. And she's saying those that are found to be unethical or corrupt, or to be found to be on the wrong side of the law, those are being dealt with, or will be dealt with as well. She even mentioned one prosecutor without naming him, and that this prosecutor was, taken to task. They've been suspended. Yeah. They are facing serious charges against them. So she's basically defended IDAC's decisions over the last year, and she's saying that, prosecutors that are found to be unethical will be taken care of.
Yeah. Babalo, Shamila Batohi is known to make some concessions from time to time. We've heard her concede at some point. I believe she said that, she was speaking about the challenges of the NPA and she was speaking about interference. Then she came back to clarify. Has she made significant concessions today before Parliament?
Yeah, she has made a few concessions, especially about the capacity of the NPA, the lack of funds, and she does acknowledge that there are certain investigations that don't go particularly well for the NPA. She's also made concessions around, botched prosecutions in these high-profile cases that have happened. But she also does say that, there might be high-level cases that are in the media domain, that are in public. But a lot of things happen that are positive within the NPA that don't get reported on. A lot of, sexual assault cases, a lot of those kind of cases are being successful when it goes to court. But she has considered that the NPA is lacking, capacity in very key areas. And the members of the committee are putting more questions to her about the general work of the NPA that's not really related to the political killings task team or any of those things, but on the work of the NPA. But she does acknowledge that there are some shortcomings there.
Yeah. I mean, just on the arrest or the charging and arrest of Dumsani Khumalo, the crime intelligence head, is she convinced that that case is above board, particularly because it's been questioned and flagged by so many, both in Parliament as well as at the Madlanga Commission? Is she convinced that IDAC has a good case here?
Yeah, it looks like she's convinced that IDAC has a good case. She has these briefings with Andrea Johnson. She says they're high level, so there are no documents that are submitted to her because she wants to keep everything secret because there are a lot of leaks within the NPA. So these are mostly verbal briefings that she gets from IDAC. And from those verbal briefings from IDAC, she's quite satisfied that there is a case that's worth pursuing. It's far as this Dumsani Khumalo arrest is concerned.
All right. Let's leave it there. That's Babalo Ndenze, EWN parliamentary reporter. He's following the testimony of Advocate Shamala Batowi, who's the NPA head. She's before Parliament's ad hoc committee into the police service. And I must clarify that the concession that I was speaking about that was made by Shamala Batowi at some point was that there's been, or the NPA has been infiltrated by corrupt prosecutors. And she did come back to clarify, saying that's not quite what she meant.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Khomotso. Well, the JSE ending the day up nearly 1/3% at 111,187 points. Financials down 0.22, resources down 0.34, industrials down 0.34, resources up 1.89%. Quite a few announcements coming through. AVI up 6.22%. Anglo Gold up nearly 6% on the day. Anglo Gold Ashanti said they increased their gold production by 17% in the third quarter, taking advantage, of course, of higher gold prices. As a result, its free cash flows up by nearly 150%. Santam up 4.72% on the day. It says its conventional insurance business achieved premium growth of 16%. MyWay's moving strongly. Gross written premium were up by 10% on the day. Harmony Gold up 4% as well. Some of the other gold miners doing very nicely too, along with that. Karoo down 4.37%. ASP, or ASP if you prefer, ASP Isotopes down 4%. They were up 21% yesterday, so that kind of does make sense. And then some of the retail shares. Pick n Pay's down 2.57%, ShopRite down 2.36%, and Telkom down a little bit as well after a strong surge yesterday. Confirmation from Bloomberg today, Khomotso, that the security company Fidelity Services, you'll have seen them, you'll have seen their vans, they're going to list on the JSE. The company is Val Bartman, saying it won't happen this year, but they are speaking to lenders about making it happen. Would you like a fun fact about Val Bartman?
I'm listening.
He played rugby for the Springboks.
Okay.
Can you imagine playing rugby for the Springboks and now being a CEO of a JSE-listed company? There are not many. I don't think he'll be the first, but there aren't many people who've done it. It was a long time ago. I think he'll be the first one to tell us. The group Storage, get it, confirming it's increasing its interim dividend by 4.5%. Its rental income is up by nearly 10% in South Africa and 2.5% in the UK. Its closing occupancy is at 96%. We have a lot of stuff to store.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff to store.
Looks like a lucrative business.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have any tenants, you don't have any people. So, although security is a thing, and there's a reason why it's so expensive. Yeah. In the US, there were fears about AI valuations again, and that's being felt in the market. So the Dow Jones is up 0.16, but the Nasdaq is down 0.36. The S&P 500 is down 0.1, and obviously it does look now like the US government, federal government shutdown is at an end. The gold price $4,122.69 an ounce. Platinum $1,587.96. Brent crude $64.85. The rand to the dollar 17.14 to the euro 19.88. And to the British pound 22.56. So on the Money Show tonight, a conversation that we don't hear very often. We'll actually speak to the CEO of Lotto Star. So this is from the online gambling space. Tasula Haji-Georgiou, she'll be on the Money Show tonight, talking about her business, talking about how it operates, talking as well, I suspect, about what she says is what they do to try and protect people in the online gambling space. We look ahead to the medium-term budget policy statement tomorrow and whether we'll get an inflation target. And then Warren Ingram, who's clearly very optimistic, what to do if you get a 13th check. Stephen Curtis, don't look at me like that. EWN Business.
I wonder if I'm going to get a 13th check. Mbali Dlamini, you're standing by with the headlines.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good afternoon. Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero claims his service delivery bomb squad has achieved an 86% success rate in resolving operational issues across the city. The unit was formed in June this year to monitor and enforce the implementation of service delivery initiatives. It's made up of seasoned public servants tasked with restoring the city of gold to its former glory. Presenting the bomb squad's progress during its first 100 days in office today, Morero says the team has already made a significant impact.
The results of this work are visible across all regions. In the Barra precinct and Dobsonville in Region D, the bomb squad has restored parks, pruned overgrown trees, repaired sewer, removed illegal structures, and rehabilitated bridges.
Morero says the bomb squad has made a noticeable impact in every region across the city.
In Newville and De Villiers Street corridor in Region F, illegal electricity connections have been dismantled, and a 7-year water blockage was resolved within 24 hours. And major deep cleaning and precinct revitalization efforts are underway.
Some students at Wits University have been staging a demonstration on campus today against gender-based violence. The protest comes after a student at the institution reported an incident of rape. The alleged perpetrator has been identified as a newly elected Student Representative Council member. Ndogozo Khumalo has more.
Protests broke out on the Wits campus last night after news spread about the incident. Wits University management says the matter was reported to its Gender Equity Office by a fellow student, and an investigation was immediately initiated. It has also confirmed that the accused has been suspended and is barred from accessing any of its facilities pending an investigation. Meanwhile, the SRC says it will stand in solidarity with all gender-based violence victims. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And Health Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi says a breakthrough in the clinical trial for an oral cholera vaccine is an opportunity for the country to be relieved from depending on international pharmaceuticals. The minister addressed the media at the launch of the cholera vaccine made in the country at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital in Soweto today. South African biopharmaceutical company BioVac has already started clinical trials of the life-saving vaccine. Thando Luhlangcobo reports.
Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has acknowledged the difficulty for countries in the global south to manufacture their own pharmaceuticals, including vaccines.
Because those are generally manufactured in the global north. So South Africa is no exception.
During the launch, Chief Scientific Officer at the South African Medical Research Council, Professor Glenda Gray, explained that the vaccine comes in 2 doses to be taken 2 weeks apart orally. Grace says so far, the patients who have volunteered for the clinical trial have consumed the vaccine with no complications or side effects detected. Motsoaledi says the breakthrough will also be discussed at the upcoming World Leaders G20 Summit. Thando Luhlangcobo, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 13 and 15 degrees and highs of between 25 and 27.
On the N3 North, there's a crash after Geldernes interchange. The right lane's close, you can expect delays. And a stationary truck on the N1 North, it's obstructing the centre lane after Allendale Road. And you can expect congestion on the N1 North between Buccleuch interchange and New Road.
The top story in EWN, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero claims his service delivery bomb squad has achieved an 86% success rate in resolving operational issues across the city.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I've been asking all morning listeners' favorite books that they remember reading from school, perhaps the first book they read or whatever they're currently reading. What is yours, Terence?
I think for me it would have to be Animal Farm. I think I learned quite a lot from that book, just about life itself and just about leadership and how, life can really just go against certain terms.
If you have not seen a play adaptation of Animal Farm, the next time they produce it, please go and see it because it is absolutely fascinating. Terence Kala is the Acting Director for Communications at Department of Basic Education.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Remember when you had to wait for dial-up to connect? Technology moves on. So why are people still driving cars like it's 1999? Volvo's plug-in hybrids are the upgrade you've been waiting for. You don't need diesel power. You just need a second electric motor. Just like you updated from dial-up to fiber, you can upgrade your drive with electric for the city and fuel for the open road. Don't be the last one to catch up. You're the last for you're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for real estate agencies, law firms, computer services, and more. Yakolin?
We saved a lot of money when we switched over from another insurance company to Business Outsurance. We've had some claims and they were friendly and efficient and paid out when they promised.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. And the Proteas will have just 3 full days to practice and prepare for their first test against India, which begins on Friday. In team news, Captain Themba Bavuma is fit and will lead the side, while Keshav Maharaj has discussed what he expects after a drawn series on the subcontinent against Pakistan.
No, actually, the spinners do the least talking, regardless of the condition. But yeah, I don't think it will be as spin-friendly as we experienced in Pakistan. I think it will be good wickets that will deteriorate, as the game goes on. So probably more of your traditional test wickets from what we see.
Hugo Bruce has told social media critics of his Bafana selections that their opinions don't affect him. With South Africa due to play a friendly against Zambia on Saturday, many question the squad selected by the Belgian coach. This includes the continued snubbing of Wydad Casablanca forward Thembi Nkosi Lodge, as well as the non-selection of Kaizer Chiefs players.
You know how I feel and what I think about social media. I don't follow that, not at all. And I think if I should read those things, that I should laugh. Because those are people who are suddenly think that they are important. And in social media, they can say what they want. It's really nonsense. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't affect me at all.
Vela Kumalo is waiting to find out who South Africa will play in the knockout rounds of the Under-17 World Cup. Amajimbos advanced past the group stages despite losing 3-1 to Italy in their final group game.
We're playing now the knockout stage. Anything can still happen. If we have managed to pass Italy and we lost against them, anything can happen. We stand a good chance. I'm a very positive person. I think we can go through and through. We are then saying we are having 4 games to play and we want to play the 4 games. That's us. That's what we spoke about. We said with my technical team and everybody, we said we have 4 games to play.
And Andre Esterhuizen has been hailed as the Springboks' new cheat code for his hybrid role in the win over France in their outgoing test. The centre turned into a flanker after South Africa were reduced to 14 men, and assistant coach Tony Brown has discussed how vital his versatility is for the team.
What started out as a little bit of an experiment with Andre trying to get him to be able to play loose forward and inside centre has become a bit of a weapon for us, and probably getting the red card and having Andre on the bench. I don't know if we could have asked for a better impact player in that situation who could go to the mauls, go to the scrums and then defend at inside centre when France had the ball. So he's getting better and better as we get through the test match year.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Charlene, how's the traffic looking?
Well, if you are on the M1 South, there's a crash at Caller Drive, so you can expect delays. And there's still that earlier crash on the N3 North. It's after Geldenhuys interchange. The right lane's closed there. And there's still that stationary truck obstructing the centre lane on the N1 North. It's just after Allendale Road. There's congestion on the N1 North between Buccleuch Interchange and New Road, and still roadworks on the N12 East before Reading Interchange. And the right lane is closed, so you can expect delays. In Centurion, traffic lights still out at the intersection of the N14 and John Avenue, as well as the N1 and Old Joburg Road. More Eyewitness News traffic at 6 p.m.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a work commuter. She's done this route 1,000 times. Perhaps she's daydreaming of a different job or just counting down to the weekend. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just another car in traffic, it's anticipation on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 Podcast
On PrimeMediaPlus.com.
Welcome back to 702 Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Thank you so much for staying with us, and thank you for tuning in. It is 17:41 right here on Afternoon Drive, and it's our time for our song feature. And for today, we're going to be speaking about a song that gives you a spring in your step. You know, there's that music that you just listen to that just makes you feel joyful. It just makes you feel happy. And when you hear it, you know, you just want to have a great day. Or you think, you know, life's not so bad after all. And I was very tempted to say that song for me is a Miss Rachel song. Because of my 1-year-old, and I love Miss Rachel. She's got lovely songs. In fact, the other day I heard someone saying Miss Rachel has bangers. I wouldn't describe children's songs as bangers or jams, but yeah, her songs really do give me a spring in my step. But if we're speaking about adult music or big people music, the song that I really like that makes me joyful, it just makes me, you know. It's a cool song. It's a song by Calvin Momo, and it's called Kumbaya. I remember the first time I heard the song, I was driving on the M1 highway under the double decker, and it came on, and I even forgot that there were cameras there under the double decker. I started thinking, I started moving a little faster because it was so smooth. So my song is Kumbaya by Calvin Momo, but I'm sure you've got a song that gives you a spring in your step. 011 883 0702 or 072 702 1702.
Just touched down in London town, and I keep asking all around, why don't you hold up, yeah. I say Yankee boom boom boom, and they say Yankee doo doo doo. Why don't, girl, you got a hold on me. Fine, I go to New York, and they say I'm Mamma Mia. Go Italiano, next on a leaf, go Italiano. That
beautiful, isn't it? Kelvin Momo with George Leslie and Denny Doug. It's called Kumbaya. Such a soulful song. It's smooth. It makes me feel rather happy. And we're taking your requests on songs that that give you a spring in your step and give you a bit of joy about life. Make you feel like life isn't so bad, man. That's my one. Please send us yours on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The loud conversation about the decision by the United States under Donald Trump to boycott the G20. I must be honest with you that I don't understand it. Hell, man. It's one country. They've decided they don't want to come. The other 19 are coming. Can we just get on with it? What if your biggest bully is not as scary as you think he is anymore? There was a time. Maybe Donald Trump is no longer as scary as he used to be. He's a sweet old man who's a little eccentric. And yeah, just need to move on, eh?
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring exclusive books. The CEO, Grayton Kirk, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Who would have thought and guessed that Homutso is a house head? Here we go. Early Friday tunes. Come on. Yay. Killer. All right, this is Killer Track. Thanks, Homutso.
It's a pleasure. Of course. How this is my music. Yeah, it just makes me feel so good. I'm glad you're enjoying it out there. It's a fire song, and I'm sure that there are many others that make you feel the same way as well. We're taking your requests right here on 702 on songs that help you give you a bounce in your step, a spring in your step. I think we've got more of your requests coming through. And if you want to send your request, it's 011 883 0702 or 072 702 1702.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Let's take Alison Crockett at Crossroads by DJ Spinner's DJ Spinner Mix. Let's take a listen.
from here, where do we go? You wanna go deeper, I wanna take it slow. I'm into my career, you wanna settle down. My way.
request from Chad right here on 702 Drive. Alison Crockett there with a DJ Spina mix. Thank you so much for that. Let's take a request from Jay, and you would like a song by Callum Scott, and it's called Rise.
I've been staring at the coastline, thinking of every choice I've made to leave me here right now, standing on solid ground. And I've been hiding in the shadows, wondering if I'm on the right road, someplace I've never been. Is this how it all begins? Oh, 'cause I've got my best suit on and I'm ready. I got my sleeves rolled up and I'll be on my way. While my heart's thumping, boom, 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 you're gonna see me rise.
Oh, this is a lovely song. It's by Callum Scott. It's called Rise. Thank you for that request, Jay. We're taking the songs that you love to hear that add a spring to your to your step. Let's take a voice note.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Khomotso. Mine is Dr. Albani. It's my life. It's my life, baby. It's my life. That's my song, Khomotso.
It's My Life by Dr. Alvin. Thank you so much for that request. We're taking your requests on songs that add a bounce to your step, right? And I think many of the songs that you've given us are rather cool. I'm taking notes. I think we're going to go to Dr. Alvin. That was Dr. Alvin, It's My Life, right? That came from Albert. Thank you so much for that. I think we should take a voice note or two, and we should have a request on the voice notes. I also do see your WhatsApps, so thank you so much for those. I see someone requesting Bujo Mujo's Summer Rain. So maybe we should take that one. That's Saki. And he says, that song gives me hope. Let's take a listen.
a summer rain. It makes me feel alright. Summer rain, it makes me feel alright. Your love is like a rainbow. You're turning gray into the bright light. Your kiss comes like a summer rain. It makes me feel alright. Your love is like a rainbow. You're turning gray into the bright light. Your kiss comes like a summer rain. It makes me feel alright.
The year must have been 2007, and Buja Mujo was a big, big deal. I was rather young, but this song was amazing. Always has been. It's timeless. Thank you so, so much for your requests, man. Thank you for spending the afternoon with me. My name is Khomotso Modise. I've been in for John Perlman this afternoon. We do it again tomorrow between 3 and 6 p.m. For now, though, it's goodbye.
Bright light, your kiss comes like a summer rain. It makes me feel alright.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.